Good. Wow. Well, I guess it ends up being a good thing, right? Once we actually get that potential, just solidified good news. Hey, that's a great deal. We like to see it. We do have some interesting things coming out today. If you didn't know, apparently this morning, here in about what is it like an hour? What is it, about an hour? In about an hour from now, we're going to hear from Mr. Trump and see what kind of deals we're trying to make out there. I think that's very interesting. I didn't see that coming. I didn't see UK coming. That was pretty cool. Now, the key thing here is what I think you're seeing this morning is that front run try to happen, but you notice that front run's not taking you outside of the expected area, right? If this wasn't expected going into today, then we would be outside of that expected area, that 568.65 to the upside. So one thing we need to read into here, I think you could see a squeeze intraday if this news stays good. If you actually get the thing that you want, right? You want good tariff news. Well, then you would really need that, because I think as of right now, you're seeing a hesitation. Because I mean, look at that. I mean, look at these type of moves back here. Once Trump does some good things, bam, right? We see those kinds of things. So for the time being, I think this is a hesitation, kind of like some people like, yeah, this could be good. Is it good? Is it going to be another lie? Is it? And so I think the best way for this to play out is really seeing the reaction to the actual announcement. If you're already in the call side, right, the 30-minute able to curl up down here, very nice. Actually gave you divergence points too. I don't know if we were mentioning that yesterday, so apologies for not being able to make the video, but sideways overall into the event, big dip down, big rip up, and towards the high side. But the big thing is, what did we say we wanted to do from all of this type of volatility? Well, we want to see it proven to be able to take out this high, as we are in a positive trend. That can be a good thing. For the time being, how would I see this play out? What do I think is going to happen, right? I'm sure everyone's going to ask that question. So I'm going to do it at the beginning of this video. I think the clearest thing to do is, one, understand you have a gap here, understand we have a gap here. Okay, that's one. Two, we have options expiration on May 16th, right? May 16th, right over here. Okay, so how I think this plays out is probably some kind of move like here. I would even say that 576 on the table. By the way, this upward line is the second standard daily expected move, second standard deviation there, 576.15. So really the targets for today, if you're in upside moves, for today would be 568.65. But you do have an event that can cause an intraday squeeze if it's going to be a good thing. Okay. The second target would overall be 576.15. That is your 5% area. So if you make it to here, just be aware that this is like no playing around decision-making area. No playing around decision-making area. Now, how I think this would play out is, actually, I don't think we fully get there. I think we see something like, where is it? Actually, we could peek our head above that. Overall, I think we stopped short of this high. Possibly even really short. Possibly only like 570, 571. Right in here. Then we actually dip down to do what? I think we fill that gap. I think we fill that gap pretty quick. So if I'm not in the move right now, I don't think this would necessarily be chasing. This is a 2-hour chart. Let's put on a 30-minute. I don't think it would necessarily be chasing. But what I think is going to form here is a 30-minute divergence up by that weekly expected move for a Monday sell-off. That's what I think at this point, because we have too many of those gaps down there. And if we leave this gap behind, leave this gap down here behind, right? So I think more so you would see this upward move, right? We'd get that to pull down, maybe to fill this gap, if you're lucky, by the way, if you're lucky, because this thing can just pop off up here, hold up better, and then we'll look for it. But I think this is overall what I'm kind of looking for. The 2-hour scale to be able to turn up. It might even cross down during this time. That's why I'm kind of hoping it just holds up better. We can leave this gap behind. But if it's going to get dramatic and you want the opportunity, I think it would be down in here again. Then we actually see that thing start to scale up. And I think it might scale up dramatically. Yeah, I think this is where you start to get to somewhere above this high. Right? So I think on Friday, you're going to see like this. And then maybe even Monday, We get that to do something small. Monday, Tuesday. Pull down, maybe. Maybe this just extends, right? For the 16th. And then I think that next Monday, I think we're going to drop. I think we're going to give all this up for a retest of at least this gap right here. That 550 retest still needs to happen. All right, so I think we're going to do that at the end of May. And then that's where we'll watch for the rolls in case we're heading back to the downside. That's how I have it in my head. I like to look at these things for a few days, and then usually I get, it gets better and better as you see where that high comes in. So we'll see. So I would say this, I mean, right now looks like a good moment. You have a little bit of room to the daily expected move. I mean, early on in the day, the 5 minutes going to be up there. If you get some kind of retrace or you fill that gap right away before the event, that would be awesome, right? And then you just see a 5 minute curl back up and you go, okay, there's target, there's potential second target with the awareness that I think 573, right? 573, let me just say. Yeah, I think it's 573. Looks pretty nice. I believe you do have a call wall at 570. Let me double check that for you guys. God dang it. I always hit my keyboard with my... There we go. Fixed it. Let's refresh this. Let's look for that call wall. Yeah, 570. So if I pull this over, I would say 570 is the best area to look for resistance. For sure. If we start to squeeze off this, look above 570, you're going, okay, cool. Right? We're potentially squeezing. And then you would potentially even just say, okay, this is where I leave a couple runners, right? As 570 or even at the daily expected move, 568, right? 568, 569. So this looks like 570 is going to be a very important level, which is just above what? Your daily expected move. Okay, so even if we're able to take that out for a second, just be aware that this thing could drop off, fill that gap. Then you see the ripping roar kind of move, see a pullback, and then you go up into May 16th. So all these little dips down. If this is all in context of, is the news real, right? Is the news not another embellishment by Trump, right? And I think that's the reason you're seeing the hesitation here too, because people would have front ran this like 2 weeks ago. This thing, just an announcement like that, would have exploded in a day. You would have seen a day like this one. Just a few weeks ago, you would have seen an open like this. But I think that people are hesitating because the news came from Trump, not like Basent. But that's how I see it for now. Pay attention to 570 critical level. And then pay attention to your daily expected move. This is the first one, right? 68% zone. This is your 95% zone up in here. So if this is able to squeeze all the way to here, guys, this is seriously the critical for the day, especially if you're like 0 DTE or something like that, or short expiration. You only have something into Friday. If you get this, it says make a fucking decision. I'm just going to be honest with you. That's what it says. 10% tariffs are still staying with the deal. Hoping for a rip to the top so that I can jump back in for a short today. Well, I think shorting this is rough. If the news is better than even the good that people are expecting, this is the good people are expecting is here. Unexpectedly good will take you through. Crazy unexpected, you use the top of this as support and keep going. I don't think shorting in this overall move, right? Everyone's talking about how the market could squeeze here, and you're already talking about shorting. And I'm just mentioning this because I'm glad someone brought up shorting. The time to short, the better and easier time to short, I think will be after May 16th. I think it'll be after May 16th now. You don't understand. Well, maybe you probably do understand this. I'm not saying you don't understand. I think you do. That this is, if this is really, really good, people have been waiting for a trade deal for a long time. You could end up at 591.79 by the 16th. You could be here by the 16th. Now, I'm saying you could. We have to understand how things like to behave, right? That's what I'm paying. And the other thing you need to be watching out for is this, right? What if bad news comes out right away? Okay, let's talk about the risky thing that can happen here. Let's talk about if this all goes wrong. If this all goes wrong, let's talk about that for a second. Look at the 2-hour chart. What do we see on a 2-hour chart when it's going to reverse to the downside and surprise people? What do we see on volatility if we are going to surprise people? One, we're not at 2151 yet. I think we're going to potentially get there, but look how we're holding flat. Flat, right? We still have the 2-hour divergence right here. The 2-hour divergence we were looking for on this push has formed, and if that confirms and takes out these levels, you're reaching up higher, you're potentially reaching up higher, you're potentially reaching up higher. Okay, so I'm going to show you what you look for here. That's the confirmation of the 2-hour on volatility, and then at the same time, or at least very, very close together, but same time, and this is why I'm not really leaning towards it, because it's not timing out to the same. We would actually see the 2-hour be able to push higher. That means we go higher and higher. We're able to hold price into, say, Friday. We start to roll, and then by the end, by like Monday, so it's pretty much like you get a push here into Friday, and by Friday close, you start to see that rotate down, and then it's a big trap for Monday, and we head to the downside. Okay, this divergence right here is what ruins this entire thing. So we're going to pay attention to price action. I don't think that that's the highest probable thing, right? The bullish thing is going to be highly probable here. I don't think that's the most probable thing at this time with the information that we have right now. But I'm still going to be aware of it. Right, Rocky? When is Trump ever on time? That's facts, Oakland. That's facts. Be expecting a roaring kitty moment where it just doesn't start for 20 minutes. Orange Man talk, I believe, 30 minutes after the open, if I'm not mistaken. Any chance to check Google? Yeah, we can check on Google real quick. Google, things are going to celebrate this. This is why I was saying, like, Google, this is why yesterday we were talking about Google being able to fill the gaps. Google was able to fill the gaps. If this ain't breaking, this is a good thing. Right? Now it's pretty deep. You have to kind of have the risk to reward. You have to have your weekly expected moves for this. Ah, shit. I should have gave you guys second. Did I give? Ah, fuck. I didn't give second standard deviation for Google, did I? God damn it. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, I should have gave the second standard deviation because you're there. God damn it. My bad, guys. The 1 week I didn't freaking do it out of the last like 3 weeks. Google's second standard deviation, if you get a retest of it, pay attention. You are looking at 154.08. I'm going to give it to you guys here on stream. If you get another dip below 154.08, I'm going to give it to you guys for today because I'm an idiot and didn't post it onto Patreon. I apologize for that. If you get a dip back below 154.08, we see a 30-minute divergence down here or something, right? We go like that. I don't think you're going to get this, but you might use this as support now. You might be able to do this, curl back down, and use that level as some confidence that you can go to the upside on Friday. Okay, I think that's a big deal. As of right now, the daily scale looks like it's going to turn, but has it? No. We have filled the gaps. We did not break this low. You retested into this, right? If we pull up a 30-minute, you're going to see what? A block. You're going to see a block, right? It's a very, very small, very tight little block down here. But if you really look at this, it's a block just like, look at this. Bam. That is so good, okay? We've been talking about price action. This is a very small block. I like to more so take bigger ones. Bigger ones like this, right? But if you're taking into consideration just support resistance, this is like a support resistance block. This isn't really like a this isn't like this one up here. This is more like just a support block. And if you can hold up better in that support, kind of like we said about the SPY, I think it was yesterday. But I wanted you guys to have this, okay? This is fantastic. Doing it directly to the T is like perfect, pitch perfect. And then what do? You break out, you dip back into it for more support. You get good news to snap you back. Look for retrace type moves. look for the double dip into here. That would be fantastic. You might only dip into this block now. So as of right now, if I were you and I was looking at Google, I'm not really looking at it too much. I'd be marking off this, and I'd say if I end up back into there and I see any kind of reaction out of there, right? If I see us go like this, come back down into it, tap into this middle, and then break back through 154.08, I would be saying, oh, this is going to go for another test of 165, if not take back this entire move. Like beat that entire move. That's what I think for now. Obviously, things can change, things can update. We'll have to keep an eye on it. So keep mentioning Google. Remember that this, again, is just a support block. This is not necessarily like massive price action in there. This is more just taking the bottom where the buyers showed up and saying, okay, if I dip into there and then I see it react back out above my 95% line for the week, I can see upside. The other stack to this for Google that is just such a freaking good thing, just so you're aware. The other thing to Google is if you look at the monthly expected move, you have not even gotten there yet, okay? You have not even gotten to the monthly. With this big ass sell, you did not get to the monthly expected move, okay? Trying to decide if I want to make money today or not. If I want to sell it today or hold it for Friday. So the SPY has opened up. Hopefully that was at least somewhat helpful. The pretty simple thing for now is for the morning, especially before the news, see if we can get here just in case there's a sell the news event. This is the first, I would say, decision-making area. If you're potentially in call, that would be potential take profit type areas. I would be very, very cautious with shorting. Shorting, I would say going long after the news, going short with the news, going long with the news is a riskier thing because you are very likely to be in this type of key area where they can just say, oh, you didn't get what you wanted, and then snap it back to the upside later. But for now, this is very, very nice. Oakland, nice to see you this morning. Thank you for shouting out with the time for us. No risk, no reward, right, Joshua? That's what's up. That's what's up. So puts early, calls later. Let's see if I can manage. Well, it depends on the new man. I don't know if they let retail really run with this unless it's bait. Unless it's bait to convince them that we're dropping later. Bait them, bait them, bait them. Roll it down by end of day. Come all the way back. See a snap reaction into the end of day. And then you see that extension maybe on Friday. I don't know if the timing there is very good. I think on Friday you'd want to be at a lower level, but we have to see how the news comes out and see how the price action behaves. Do you think we'll see another dip? I think at some point you're going to, in the next, I would say 3 trading sessions, you're going to retest this. I think you're at least coming back to here. If not, early on next week, just seeing this go bam, 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 start to sell off, and then you go all the way back down to here very rapidly for the retest of 550, fill the gap, and then you see a spike up into OPEX. It just depends. OPEX can be a very manipulative thing, just like FOMC, right? Oh, it's a big move down. Oh, it's a big move up. Then you just get news. So do I think there will be another dip? Yes, I think eventually you will come back to this level, whether it's right now or whether that's later. I think you will. If you don't, unlucky, right? Unlucky. But you have to take into consideration with this move the amount of money. And that's why I keep bringing up OPEX, by the way. If you look at OPEX for this month, you're looking at like a complete triple from what we have risked for tomorrow. You're looking at 3.5 million open interest. You're looking at serious, serious bearishness, which is what can cause a squeeze, right? So if we take 575, or if we get to 575 at any point during this run, I think you're set on being like, hey, we could even go to 600. I think 590 is more the safety net, though. And it really depends on the news, right? And keep in mind, we talk about the bearish things too. So if we get 2-hour divergence, we're going to treat it very seriously. That likes to roll down daily charts. Okay, but good day to invest. I'm looking to put them now or wait. Well, if you're looking to invest, something that I really like is still Target. I still like this. This is the dip down. Awesome. It was able to hold up at the potential resistance becoming support in the middle of this. The breakout area. Very, very nice test there. Once again, did we beat this low or did we go into the block? Well, let's mark off the block. Let's see how this behaved, right? It always makes sense in hindsight. It's just you gotta have the balls to do things while it's actually happening. Let me see here. I wanna include a little bit of this right there, this right here. I think I'm gonna take right there and see if it matches up. It might be just barely. Like you got to see. It might be just barely. So this could be right. This could be wrong. Either way, you're more so just looking at, okay, the 2-hour turned down. The 2-hour just crossed up. That's a good thing for Target. Target has earnings later on. If you didn't know, this is my investment right now. You have fantastic things going on. You have extreme daily divergence down there. You can go for another dip into the zone, right? This is an investment talk. And then the weekly chart looks like it's gearing up for that move. And if the weekly chart can just catch a move here, you're at least going to see growth, I think, to 140. Wait. Let me look here. I think to 133.73, 37, 133, 134. Let's just say 134. I think 134 is not too generous. And you're also going to do what? You could potentially make dividend money on the way up. That'd be great. You do, on the monthly scale, have monthly divergence that is formed on your MACD, not on your RSI at the same time. Just be aware of that. We'll see if this month can really push this thing back up. But all of this is leaning towards, we're going to see a monthly curl up here, and you're about to get your face ripped off. That is genuinely what it is. This is saying that we are going to make an attempt to get to where in 2025. Anywhere in here. Anywhere in here is where we're going to try to get to. Notice the bottom of that is about 136.50. So anywhere in here is where Target's trying to get to. That means what? That means overall from here, if all goes well with earnings, I could see probably at least this, 67%, and make some dividend money possibly on the way. Could take some time. So I like Target here. I think it's a great price. You are getting pretty much COVID pricing. That's not a bad thing. Not a bad thing. And it has necessities. And it has dividends. Like, there's not a lot of bad things you can say about Target. You're biased a little bit. QVTS fluffing those numbers. Probably. Yeah, I would just realize you're still in that macro bullish context. The macro didn't give up its bullish context. That's a good thing. Disney. I think Disney looks pretty good. Netflix, it's squeezing. You got to be careful with these ones, right? You're still in that environment where bullish. Okay, you are you are mentioning something pretty fucked right here. This is bad. When a stock does this, this is usually its last try to keep that squeeze going. Be cautious if the 30-minute does cross here. If you lose the 5, and you notice where the big support came in right here, so it's probably this low that really matters. So if you want risk to reward, you would say, hey, at least that low probably gets tested. If not, it's going to get broken, and we're probably heading down to at least that 1,058. If not, on the bigger scale, on the daily scale, getting a massive retrace here back to where? Back to the zone, right? Back to where we broke out from. Bam. Bam. That would be what I see. It looks kind of similar to like a Palantir, and Palantir's snapping back. That's a good thing. The higher up, the better, honestly. The higher up, the better. No daily cross down just yet. What the hell is coming for Palantir once it fills this gap? Look how we left a gap behind as well. If that's not filled during this run, it's going to be later on. It's going to be like this, fill the gap maybe, and then come down and fill that gap. And then you'll see if it can turn around. But then you're going to be overall saying, okay, is it coiling up and getting tight to break out in one direction? Or is it just flushing through this and using it as resistance to get down to what? To 95, about $95. And the reason I'm bringing this up in context with Netflix is I think you're going to go through a similar scenario here. I think you're going to go through that similar scenario. And look at it get rejected here on the 2 hours. So hourly chart might be your friend here as well. I know we don't look at hourly charts very often, but sometimes the hourly chart is just a little bit better trigger for you if you think that this is risky to do because you're squeezing. I think it is because you're squeezing. But wherever the beginning of the month was, you're probably not even outside of that move just yet. April right here. Yeah, you're not outside of a monthly move, but you might have a monthly move down by that $1,000 mark. So I'd be looking here. If we break there, I'd be looking here. But for now, you have the divergences that say, hey, a 2 hour is going to cross. Well, the 2 hours already crossed. So that says the 2 hour is going to reject. So if the 2 hour rejects here, what do you see on your RSI? You see a very dramatic divergence now. This is why these type of pushes kind of reminds me of Meta. Let me show you Meta to give you an example. I know we're kind of tackling this for a bit, but we got 20 minutes till we potentially see news. If you remember Meta, when we were calling this squeeze top, we were talking about that final push right here. We were like, this is where it can be done because you got the final surge and it actually created the divergence point. So Netflix could technically still do that. But notice when these things start to confirm after that FOMO push, that last bit of buying comes in, those FOMOers of the FOMO of FOMOing come in, then that crosses, holy shit, it gets ugly, okay? So just be aware of that. I think it'll hold up better than Meta. I'm saying that it'll more so be like a big retrace type of move that actually is able to turn back up. But you can't take anything off the table in this market, man. It's been a crazy one. So I think you're going to see something like that with Netflix soon. Let's go back over to the SPY. Let's do a 30-minute. But I see those type of plays, I'm not, especially without monthly expected moves and things like that, those kinds of plays I only take when I'm seeing them outside of monthly moves. And since I don't have a monthly move right now for Netflix, maybe you have one on Thinkorswim if someone does, at least for the week, maybe the month. That would be good. But yeah, I'm never really inclined to take those without that extra information because it's a squeeze. Yeah. Trump confirms trade deal with UK, full and comprehensive. Yes, but Willow, do you see the hesitation? That was a very unexpected thing, right, Willow? But is Price doing the unexpected thing? No. No, it is not. So I think people are hesitating. I genuinely think people are hesitating because it came from Trump. I think they want to see what the deal is. Something interesting will be how Apple behaves here. Confirming divergence, suggesting I want to take back the 5-day, suggesting the 2 hour could curl up here and you could see a positive move. It is negative, so be aware of lower highs, okay? But for the time being, this is a very, very good test from Apple. Able to go into that block, touch into it, see if that 30-minute can turn up. Whether you like it or not, the SPY might be kind of high up, but stocks that are down like this can push the market higher, especially in options expiration. So there are opportunities out there, right, for more position style plays, not just shorting or longing or shorting the SPY. Not really. He's out on Tuesday. I think he had an announcement Thursday before he left to go to Saudi Arabia. Was that the one that he said was not going to be trade? But either way, we know this is hesitation. If this was fantastic, then you would see people doing fantastic things with their money. So let's see. I think we could get that delayed reaction. But they could also use it as an excuse to be like, oh yeah, sell the news like all day, and then they just boom this thing the next day. I think you're more likely to see this. I think you want to see this high taken out. I think this into this makes a lot more sense. What up, Doug? But thank you guys for being here this morning. Thank you guys for liking and stuff like that. Thank you guys for showing up. Had to take a little break yesterday. Gave Mama some time, helped her out. For the time being, it looks like good things. We saw a bunch of buildup, right? Bunch of what people would say coiling, right? Now we're trying to snap, right? Get that snap moment to happen. And now we could see that rubber band type of price action start up again, maybe. What's the VIX up to? The VIX is down right now at 2292. I am more inclined of a bigger drop once we get to about 2151 or lower. But you do have a 2-hour divergence here. What you'd be looking for a sell, let's say we're going to sell on Friday, we're not going to reach up higher, is what you'd be looking for is gap fill, aka we fill the gap maybe in the SPY. You react back up into what? Here. You see this. You reject down. Then you create the 30-minute divergence that says, yes, the 2-hour is going to confirm up. Watch out for the weekend. Watch out for Friday, right? That would be probably the worst case scenario in my mind, actually. I think you want to see a squeeze here. The way that you get rid of the VIX signals right now is you squeeze the damn market. The way you make this last all the way to 580 or even 590 by options expiration is volatility is going to make a signal, and that signal has to fail. And you have that signal made right now. It hasn't confirmed. I'd like to see it confirm and fail. I haven't heard anything about MetaPlanet. What's Orange Man going to talk about? A trade deal with the UK. Is this a buy the rumor, sell the news? You haven't heard the news yet. You only know that there's a trade deal. You don't know if that trade deal is good or bad. And most likely, in this type of environment, the news is not going to help you. Price action will help you way more. The news will back up whatever is happening here. But this is a very serious, especially when you notice like FOMC day. FOMC day is a great example of just like when the market is more for Wall Street. I think that's the market right now. I think they know that retail is willing to buy and buy and buy, and retail actually did buy pretty well. And so I think they're going to build this thing up to make retail get in, and then they're going to swoop down to go take care of business down here. And I'm not taking off the table this, even though I think it's been taken relatively for now off the table. Okay, so we're starting to dip down. The best thing to do would be close the gap before, then see the surge. Google doing exactly as we said. Here we go. Look at that. Boom. Damn, I wish it would have went into the zone and crossed up. You did leave the gap behind, so you might revisit this level still. It might be after the first initial push. This would be lucky, right? You're seeing a 5% thing for Google. A less than 5% thing was yesterday. Yeah. So hopefully you guys are looking at that 154. But overall in this area, with the price action we're seeing, this isn't a scary level to say like, hold. It's not a scary level to hold. You can obviously leave your stop there if you want to, right? The bottom of the wick, right on the line, okay? It comes, it breaks that, you're out. You see the touch, boom, same level, back in. Then you see that thing roll up. If you want to be very patient here, you can look for the higher low. You're probably going to get a higher low because you got to get through some stuff down here, right? So you're probably going to do this and this, but if you just see a surge here, that higher low could take place up higher. So pretty much it's like, take those longer out options is the best thing to do and just say, hey, this is a great level. Try to execute a trade there in some way. SPY's starting to drop for now. This makes total sense with volatility having this right here and the SPY having this right here, right? We want to see that gap filled. You got 12 minutes. If you can do it in 12 minutes, that'd be awesome. Thanks for Goog. Made one quick play. $4 too busy to trade today. That's all right, BK. Every little bit matters, right? I got 610 call. It depends on how long, Gino. It depends on how long. Yeah, it's flying, isn't it, Jonna? What's up with Meta? Is it going to hold today or drop back down? For the time being, Meta, it showed you the new high. That's good. 2 hour, still suggesting pullback mode, so you have to leave this still pretty open. I don't remember why we have that line there. Oh, okay. This was kind of a retest level of the resistance becoming support. What you pretty much have here is another zone. Like this, right there to... I think there. I think that's correct. I think that's the correct bottom part. So that means what could you see? You could see it react all the way down to here, maybe even swoop down and fill that, or try to get to gap support. At some point, you're going to come back to those gaps. It's just I don't think it's right this second. Right now, some stocks have already done it. That's a good thing. So for Meta, I think Meta is more of a risky one. I do think Meta is more of a risky one, but I think it easily could extend this move, right? See another one of these, and what do you get to? If you see another one of these, you get to where? Oh, okay, let's just go up and test this area, right? Let's test here. But is that a lot of good things? Is that better than Apple? Is that better than Google? Is that a better price? Is that better? I think this one is like calls would be difficult and shorting would be difficult. I wouldn't personally be looking at Meta too much here. Personally. Same thing could be said about Nvidia. There's a lot of risk here. And you notice that the 2 hour is still dipped down, trying to go overbought. It could literally do this and then come all the way back and come all the way back. It could go all the way down. Because this zone, this big area here, you can kind of treat it like it's right here and say, okay, it could come all the way down to gap fill before it's able to turn back up. Even if it goes all the way up to 122. That is your weekly expected move, though. So 122 is probable for NVIDIA, just so you're aware. As of right now, it looks like we are slightly just sitting up at that higher level, coming back down into the previous wick. That is very, very nice. Thoughts on gold? I think gold might be done soon. I think that the only thing that's holding me back from saying that is the fact that the dollar hasn't shown those good reversal signals. Now you're doing good things now, right? Look at our red line. Able to do it. So we'll see if it can gear up and go. But until the dollar is fully through this zone, it can't get to here. The dollar needs to get to here, and you're pretty convinced that you're actually seeing good global news on tariffs. Yeah, that's how I'd see it at this point. If you look over at GLD from that, I think this is interesting. I think this is very interesting. Actually, let's look at futures, because futures might have exceeded the high. So at this point right now, there's the top line. You have a double top in play. You have a double top divergence in play for the RSI. It rejected. You have the MACD rejecting as well. This would mean that gold is more likely to come down into here again. Right? But it is doing what it needs to do to go higher, right? So if you look at the 2 hour, does it do regular trading hours? Oh, it really does. Okay. If you look at the 2 hour, I'm going to use the extended for this because it's futures. If you look at the 2 hour, what are you kind of looking for here? Well, you're going to see a 4 hour divergence probably, or at least some form of it, right? If we turn this off, which I like regular trading hours more, you can kind of see that formed. Okay, you see it a little bit closer. And look how close that is to the center line, right? Now, if you extend it out, or you just look at a 2 hour chart here, you're going, oh, that could cross down, and that's the initial thing. I would extend it out if I was looking at GC1, right? Gold futures. And I would like to see one more push in this and create the 2 hour divergence, but not beat the high. I don't want to take out that high. I want to go lower than it, make a divergence off of the support here from the block, right? See that come in, see the 2-hour divergence confirm, see this, see this. That'll be the best timing in my mind for a position. And then you could probably see the dollar start to reverse around. Just note that gold has been extremely, extremely, extremely bullish for a long effing time here, okay? A long time. So you have to be very, very aware of the signals when you're trying to catch something like this, right? If you decide to short this, just note this is an extremely bullish trend and it just got a pullback. Okay, this could easily just break through. We do have monthly expected moves for GLD over on Patreon. Yeah, that's what I'd say about gold. I think the 2-hour divergence using those extended hours, since it is futures, would be a good thing to watch for. I think that's when you actually have like a setup that makes sense and is very simple. What stock will react positively? I think many stocks. I don't think you have to try to read into it too. You can read into it further to try to get like the best play in the world, but overall it's just trade deals are happening. People will invest if trade deals are happening. What you wanted to see this. You wanted to see someone come to the table, someone solidify something. What does that encourage? I'll tell you guys a story about have you guys heard the story of the impossible 4-minute mile? Have you guys heard the story of the 4-minute mile? The impossible 4-minute mile? Roger Bannister. Okay, so the 4-minute mile was known as impossible. It physically could not be done. People tried, people failed over and over and over for years. They said it was physically impossible for a human being to be able to run a mile in 4 minutes. Then one day, some guy did it. You went from 0 people being able to run a 4-minute mile to within the next year, it was like you were seeing it, high schoolers could do it. Why? There's mental barriers. We have mental barriers when you think something is impossible. Nobody thought it was possible for you to have a computer in your hand. Even when computers were a thing, they said, no freaking way. Guess what? It happened. What did every company start to do? Put computers in your hands. Once one person proves it's not impossible, everyone starts to take the leap. Everyone. Every single person starts to go, hey, I could do that, right? You see Steph Curry make 23s in a row. You go, maybe I could do that. You know, I could probably do at least 10 in a row, right? It's great. It shows your mental has a big, big play on how you are in real life, like how you are, what you do, how much success you will find is all related to here. Remember when we talked about the news and talked about how they're negative, 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 negative? They don't want you to be positive because I think they know these things. I think the people who are paying them, I think they know these things. All you have to do is put yourself in a positive mindset. And when you go through something bad, you are bound to go through something bad. Try to come out on top in a positive way, right? Turn everything into a positive. I failed my semi-pro career because I dislocated my shoulder the day before the New York Red Bulls and New York FC were coming to watch me play. But if that didn't happen, I wouldn't be here today with you guys. I wouldn't have the daughter that I have. I wouldn't have the wife that I have. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when we take this into consideration with tariffs, bad with tariffs, bad with tariffs, nobody's going to make a deal. No, he's never going to make a deal. No one's going to make a deal. These tariffs are crazy. Someone makes a deal. The impossible is shown to you. You are experiencing the impossible if they have a solidified deal today, by the way. You are experiencing the 1% of the 1% moments. Trade deals normally take I'm not even going to use the fluff numbers of 12 months. Trade deals normally have a negotiation period or just a dark, cold period of 18 months before something happens. Then after that, I think it's 12 months till something happens, 18 months to actually have the negotiations like kind of completed and maybe something signed, and then another 12 months to implement. So if you see a deal signed or something like that today, you are genuinely experiencing the 1 in a million moment that no one ever saw coming. What do you think that means for markets? That means we're probably going to squeeze. It does. It means you're probably going to squeeze into what? Well, wherever the rich people can make the most money. Options expiration. Bad things can keep happening, but bad things don't mean worse things for price. You would have to see worse things than the good thing. Right? What's a good example of this? If I find a $100 bill, but I get a paper cut when I pick it up off the ground, is the good thing better than the bad thing? Am I going to go into a negative spiral? Because that's what you're looking at here. That's what you're looking at here. You're looking at that moment. All right, let me see if I can find something here. I can't believe I'm behind on this because, of course, classic Lucas going on one of his rants. I apologize for that. Fucking A. God, I suck today. I didn't give you guys the second standard deviation for Google until now. Thank God we went and tested it so someone could maybe benefit from it. Trying to find it. Does anyone have it? Is some like live streamer watching it or something? Or are they even showing it right now? Trump live, maybe? Live now. See, these are the fake. Okay, wait, here we go. Wall Street Journal. Nothing on yet. We will play it in a moment. Sorry, guys, my chat's messed up. Can someone can someone just say, hey, good morning? I'm enjoying my coffee. Say something, because my chat's all fucked up. Thank you. There we go. That was a good rant. Okay, cool. As long as it's a good rant. Sometimes I have shitty ones. What's up, coffee man? All right, I'll have it up in a moment. I have it up right here with the Wall Street Journal. And then we'll just listen in. Nice job for Wolfie Boy. Reddit, you want to look at Reddit real quick? I think we have time. I have it in my ear in case it starts up. Reddit, you're in a serious downtrend. You're losing a lot in here. Okay, this is after. Oh, this is post earnings though. This is very, very good then. What are you looking for here? You're looking to hold up right now. Let's do this. Let's do this. Where can I create the zone here? Let's take the closing of these bars, and that includes the wick there. And you go like this, very tight. You might want to open that up. Yeah, we might want to open that up. Let's open it up to the gap fill. You may, actually, I would rather, okay, so if you don't hold up here, you get the roll moment. If you do this on the shorter time frames, I'd be watching here. All those stocks that keep doing this, okay? If this daily rolls, be aware of these gaps. I think what you're really wanting to test here, in my opinion, I think you could hold up here, right? We see the structure. Left, head, right shoulder, okay, but you've left behind these gaps and you didn't even fill it here, right? So I assume we kind of want to go down there. I assume this trend will change or will continue. Maybe we get that 2-hour reaction up, you roll it, then you come down to these levels and you see that thing start to build back. That's a lot of maybes. I understand that. What I'd more be looking at is just, do we hold up now? Do I see the 2-hour confirm now? Okay, that has a chance. What does that have to get through? It has to get through a lot. I would suggest all of this is what it needs to break through. I'm going to include those little wicks too. right there. So I think this, if you get the 2-hour roll, you're probably going to see this and then fail, break that low, and then I think you're getting down to here. So the only way you break to the upside, start to hold that level, right? You can do things like this. That's perfectly fine. But for now, I would also be marking off this right here. Yeah, I'd be marking this off. So this is kind of like you would say this is more of like a zone that's more just like price action, right? Price action, liquidity that you can reject or take back, use as liquidity. This is more of a just support level, in my opinion, where the buyers stepped in. So this is a reach down to see if those buyers are still there. You fill gap, then you see this thing start to build back. I would be open to that, even if we react up to 117.50 first. It's always like this too. If the 2-hour crosses up, I can take a chance with it. And just if my management of the trade comes in, I can be out. We can go down, see if that comes back in again, and I think you can be right back in. So I don't think Reddit's in a terrible spot. We didn't make the new high here. That's probably a problem. Yeah, we might need to gear up lower. So I'd mark off these two zones and see how price action goes around it. Let me see right now if we got no Trumpy. Who said he was going to be late today? Yeah, PCC is high. PCC won't matter until the inflection points of the day, in my opinion. I think that would be in about an hour and a half, if I'm not mistaken. Well, 9:30 would be big. And then right around, well, 9:30 for me, 10:30 for you probably, right, Eastern. If you're talking Eastern, then you're looking at 11:30, I think. I think 11:30 would more so be the time to pay attention to the PCC in my mind. Yeah, FOMA, that's the best I can do with that one. You're looking for retests there. You're seeing if it can make the structure or retest lower levels. Yeah, it's not a horrible, horrible thing. 9:30, I'm Central. That's what's up, Chris, because you're cool. You're cool, dude. Just like some other people out here who are pretty cool on Central Time. I wonder if we take care of it. So when do you think we go to that gap? Let's say that. Okay, so do you think we revisit the gap? There's kind of three options. I'm not going to do a poll for this. I just want to see your guys' opinions. I would say this morning. The other time I would say would be Friday, like a rip down on just a rug pull Friday and then a rip back up. Friday, we'll kind of include Friday or Monday there. So it'd be like now, Friday, Monday, or after options expiration. Because you're probably going to fill at least this gap, right? Doesn't that look like a perfect pullback gap? I think this one looks like a perfect retest and pullback gap. That really convinces people of crash, and then you just bounce right off of it. You think Friday? You think today will be a buildup and we just see a dump? What the fuck is being said, Crumpet? Nothing from the Trump Meister yet. Man, whoever was betting that he would just be like late. People are going to see that as bad. What if this fills the gap right now? Because he's late, people get worried and they go, oh no, I'm not willing to do it. And then it just goes bam. I want it to go bam, by the way. I want it to get to here. That would be fucking phenomenal. Let me just put that out there. It deserves an F word. It deserves it. That would be insane. 576. And the fact that that is super possible right now with this type of news is very exciting. Let's hope it's not a flop. Oh, yeah. Did we say deal? Did we say we had a deal with the UK? No, we meant a bad deal. We're actually going to war. No. Like they just totally flip it. What do you say about GME bounce today? GME, looking for the structure of the bounce. I have not looked at that this morning. Very good. This is actually something very critical you needed to happen here. You needed this to happen to have a chance. Now I want you to notice what? Bam, 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 and tons of liquidity being built. Tons of liquidity being built. This is very surprising. On the 2-hour scale, you'll see it more. This is very surprising to see this so often and only get a move like that. And really, even this, only getting a move like that, that's not the craziest thing in the world. It's just very weird to me. Very weird to me. And I might need to extend this down. It looks like we have some support right here. Did this break those lows? No, I need to maybe include that wick. Yeah, that's actually probably better. And that makes now I think the price action proves it's better too now. Look at that gap up. So what are you looking for here? Weirdly enough, if you see this, I would be very fucking cautious. If you start to see this, I would be cautious. Very cautious. Because I think at the end of this, I think you want to go down to 25. I think you want to go down to 25, if not even lower, right? Retesting the overall lows, the breakout type of area down in here, in here. So the only good thing is I believe AMC overall had an okay earnings from what I saw. Pretty good earnings, I think. Not bad. That being said, it's AMC, so you're going to need to see a beat of like 1,000% for people to, you know, really just big money buy into it. If you believe in the problem, that's perfectly fine. I do too. But for GME, I think you're aware. Oh yeah, let's talk about the MACD. So easy way to fail this right now is the MACD rolls right now. All right, we roll down, we see this, then we break. We go left, head, right shoulder. How we break to the upside. You gotta hold this. You gotta hold this. You obviously have to hold that, but I mean, come on. Any person knows that. You want to hold this. You want to hold this right here to have no shot of breaking that. So you'd rather this go coil up, burst through. And I would say you want to get past this. I would say you want to see that if you want to see this thing start to rip, this is what has to happen. You want to build here, and then you want to burst through and use that as a retest area and then continue that upside. That's how I see it right now for GME. But the trend is negative here. The 2-hour is negative. So just be aware of this. This is the area where you roll over. Right, for the SPY, this is an equivalent to the SPY doing this, right? This is an equivalent to the SPY doing this. Right? Bit or, you know, here you go. Okay, here you go. All right, roll it. That's the equivalent to what's happening with GME. That's why I'm not going to sit there and be like, I'm not going to fluff you up and say bullish, bullish, bullish things when you're having a daily MACD cross down. Anything can happen with the stock. That's why, you know, holding on to it is probably the best option, right? Treating it like a very long-term investment. But for GME, that's not necessarily the things you want to see. Hopefully that 2-hour can just rip up, but I think you got to make a new high in this overall move, and then you got to use that big block as liquidity with a dip down. Yeah, you know what kicks people in the ass, John? To be like, I don't know if we want to make a deal yet. You know what kicks them in the ass? When Trump said, we're going to be the nicest to the first people, and then the first person takes the step forward. Looks like gap fill this morning. I think the delay is something to keep your eye on. Yeah, the delay here from Trump saying a time and being late. Once again, you're already seeing, like, I wouldn't just say, like, oh, I'm going to believe every word I hear here. I would expect volatility during the announcement. Yeah, I would definitely expect some volatility during the announcement. If you're one of those guys looking at 5-minute charts, you're looking for a test down into here. What overall would be a good thing? I think you want to fill this gap now, or else you're going to revisit it on like Friday or Monday. It seems very likely that we would revisit at least this. You would like to see this gap filled right here. But there is a chance that hopefully you fill that now, you just take care of it and you see a wick. That would be great. But I would expect volatility here in some way. Maybe even like this. Then we start to head up. Confusion in the first parts of retail, and then you just rip it. You show them something bad, and then you just rip the thing. But that's dependent on if remember, we keep saying it. If the news is not a lie, if the news is not an embellishment, is probably the better way to say it. Because you do have divergence form down here, like a double bottom almost. Yeah, I'd expect a little bit. If you're looking at 5-minute charts or something like that, I'd expect some volatility in those. I could be totally wrong about that. I would just expect during retail hours, you see kind of a fight, you fill the gap, then you start to head up to something like 570. I think 570 is the level to gravitate to. In consideration with the, let's see if it's an important level here. It is the first call wall for tomorrow. It is the major call wall for today. So in this area, you start the call walls. Right here, right here, right here, right here, right here, all the way up. So at some point, those are going to pile up. You're going to beat your head, beat your head, beat your head, and probably come back. At least to test into where? At least the top end. We'll see. If we leave the gap behind, then I would say slow grind, then we fall down and we fill that. Then we maybe go for the second push. These are all maybes, right? I'm talking about this in case, someone's looking for the opportunity. I think it's overall not the worst price here. As long as that news is good. I would not play shorts, highly dangerous, wait for a pattern. I think shorting should more so be considered on Fridays. I think on Fridays, shorting would be considered depending on what you see by Friday. I think the actual time to short will be more so from the 15th to the 20th. You could see something in here that says, hey, we're going to go revisit 550 for a moment. I think they still, if I'm thinking of the psychology of the market and how I would trick people, I would show them something super ugly in May, right? We've talked about this before May started. We want to see a sell in May and go away. We want all those people to go away and then FOMO into our next move. Still nothing, at least from the Wall Street Journal. If you do see it early on, let me know. They are leaving the 10% tariffs in place. Sounds good. Cool. Awesome. Love it. And who's they? Which side? And also, love it. UK to US. Love it. That sounds like the deal they've decided on. God damn, am I not seeing this? I like Ford. You guys know Ford's one of the ones I like. My dad has heavy investments in Ford all the time. He's been holding that for years and years and years. UK US is the announcement. Yeah, it's a deal between the two. So puts on the American economy. Why? If someone comes in and just says, hey, they're still keeping the 10% tariff, congratulations. You have one puzzle piece. You have one puzzle piece. The important thing here is not, it's not going to be, you're going to hear about repercussions. You're going to see how they play out. Just like Jerome was saying, we don't know how it will affect things. We don't know how this will affect things. We don't know how that'll affect things. You still don't know, even with the deal in place. The important thing here is de-escalation in some way with UK. The important thing here is a deal being made. It gives you certainty. You take something that is completely dark, the dark room, remember the light switch? The deal, you know what the deal does? It allows you to flip on the light switch. You know what you're going to deal with now. And then people can make decisions. I don't think it'll be a pump. From what I see right now, until something changes, this does not look like a pump and dump. If you get a dump here, I would say, if you get a dump here, then I would still be looking where? Right here. I'd be looking here and here. I really don't see it. I'd be fine with that. I think we get a bigger rally than I'm expecting if we get to here now. If we get to here and we make a new high, I think you're going to 600. Is GME out of the hot seat? No, it's negative on the 2-hour, unfortunately. AMC has great signals, but it's not seeing positivity yet. With the AMC earnings being positive, though, I'm pretty confident, holding my stuff until at least I see Monday, Tuesday reactions. We got the Australians in here. That's what's up. Let's go, Crown Head. Let's get you some cars, man. Fix or repair daily. I stopped buying for when the death wobble happened in the third one I had. I liked my Ford Escape, personally. Back in the Dizzy. Loved that car. Like, and pretty garbage gas mileage. Like, let's just be honest with it. But I did like the car. So I'm happy with whatever's going on. Exactly. You're kind of just like, cool. I mean, I like what's happening. Good morning, new here. Would you mind looking at Tesla? Yeah, we can give Tesla a quick look. If I hear him start up, though, I'm going to change over back to the SPY. Tesla here. Still running into trouble. Still running into trouble in the block. Right? Little bit of trouble here. But this is good to peek your head above. Anytime you peek your head, you're going to see a lot of peaks, by the way, in the shorter time frames. But anytime you peek your head, just go, okay, just be aware. Like, this thing can do it. It can. All right? Don't let it convince you like, oh, this is garbage. You have not seen a break. You have not seen a break. What you're really just being patient and looking for is just the 2-hour to cross up. And I think you're going to get that 2-hour to cross up today, personally. I think you'll see a move not this big. I would say potentially from this breakout here would be more likely, this type of move. We see something like this, and then you see if that can pull down and then extend to 328.50 and then watch if we go fill those gaps. Or just retest back into here, right? The better way to go higher is here. The scary way to go higher is you go fill those gaps for Tesla. I'm not leaning towards that. I do not want Tesla to go down towards those gaps. I personally do not want Tesla to go there. Hey. See what happens. Yeah, welcome in, James. Yeah, you're looking, like, draw, very obvious resistance, very obvious range. Look for a break, and then make a plan for if it goes wrong, right? Look for a break, or if you want to gear up before and say, hey, this confirmation happened above that center of that zone, awesome. And then just watch the damn thing and have a plan for if it goes wrong. But if you need weekly expected move, since you're new, I'll give you the weekly expected upside move for Tesla, 310. Right around 310 is how high that could get if it breaks. So that means Tesla could make a move up to about here. And then that's where you're probably looking for retest, head higher into options expiration to go test 328. You could hit 328. I think 328.50 is more so inclined to be looked at for May 16th. If all this new, we have to see the first things happen. Let's not get carried away. You do have to see things happen here. You have to see a new high. you potentially have to see a retest into here, right? What we're going to do is, if you notice, we're kind of creating that zone, right? We're making a bigger one. So that means if you break out, you can retest in, then see that come back up. That's why this gap is very imperative right now. It's very important. I wouldn't mind leaving it behind. It gives you possibly an opportunity later, especially you 0 DTE guys who just degen it for a bit. But we haven't even gotten to a daily expected move, so you're pretty much like, this is bullish. We're positive now on the 30-minute. Let's get to 568.65, right? Then I can make decisions. If I'm already in the money and I like the amount of money, awesome, profit, love it, right? A lot of the time, I'm not the guy trying to get here. I'm the guy that takes it in here and then sells it when the money looks good right away in case they want to do some funky things, theta burn before the move. What's on May 16th? A lot of money's at risk. 3.5 million open interest. That is options expiration. Have we looked at NVIDIA? Shortly. I'm hesitant with the move, and I think this inclines you to, once again, just see if you get that retest. If not, well, the 2 hours kind of saying, yeah, let's go. The highest up for NVIDIA that I see is here, 122.30. 122.30, you got to start to, pump the brakes as far as your trading goes. Like that, just like Tesla, right? Just like Tesla. Pretty much, right? What'd you do? You piled up, not as long as Tesla, but you piled up. You see the break, get the retest, go higher. I would love a retest for NVIDIA. That means maybe early in the morning, right? Maybe NVIDIA is hinting more at like, hey, we could fill the gap. Maybe we see a little more upside. Then we go fill the gap. Then we head higher into the end of the day, But it's more so just what is my plan for my trade right now? And my plan is decision-making area, and then decision-making area is this entire zone. From this line, pretty much from here all the way up to here, you can make good or bad decisions. And taking profit, I never consider that a bad decision. So if you took it before there, that's perfectly fine. I don't think it's a bad decision to ever say, hey, I like the money, I'm going to take it. That's a win, right? Pat yourself on the back. And don't say that I could have, I should have, I would have. Because if you would have, then you would have. If you would have, if it was obvious and you were like, hey, I want to, pile on some more risk, then yeah, I would have. But no. You just say, hey, good trade. QBTS. Let me check on that stream real quick. I got nothing. If anyone sees anything, just let me know, okay? Yeah, let's go look at QBTS. We don't mind the D-Wave. Whoa! Any hints for this? As of now, you're more looking where the buyers stepped in. So this entire area, right? So this isn't necessarily a block. This is more support, if you will, or where the buyers stepped in. You're looking at that. Oh, it lined up perfectly on accident, but hey, sometimes that's how it works. This is very hard to do. I'm showing this, and you're gonna think, wow, he drew it up and blah blah blah. This is very difficult to do. Very difficult to do. And you still have this gap below you. Like, really, if you're talking about the area where this guy should have gotten to, I would say potentially, I'm going to include the gap at least, is down here. So I think this was a difficult one. I don't think you really could have saw this one coming in my mind, at least from my perspective right now. I would say this is a great level to stop, get that pullback, and now you've left these gaps behind. So I think eventually price will be given back up, but you never know with these bad boys. Daily able to go positive. You see how it's almost overbought. So you're looking for little pullbacks now. So if you want this to continue, which it most likely will, then you're looking for the 30-minute to really show you good thing. Oh, whoop, I'm not drawing right now. You're looking for it to show you that tightness. So what are you in right now? You're in expansion, very obviously, right? If you need to put up Bollinger Bands to understand expansion, there you go. You can see that the Bollinger Bands have completely spread out. Where's that going to here? If you get lucky and this starts to rip down all of a sudden, and then it goes down to here, I think that's a good opportunity. I think right around that $6, $6.25 is a good opportunity. And you can kind of pull this across now that we've zoomed out and see why. Okay, so that's awesome. And you really noticed how we don't like to remain below here very long. And you even saw a like little, probably 15-minute thing here, but a 30-minute divergence here. That's nice. And you've really kept that area. So just because you get an upward reaction, doesn't mean it's an opportunity for upside now. If you're looking for upside to continue, you're still looking for that to go back into contraction in some way, which you might get big swings first that get smaller as you come into this type of level. Then you break out, and that's when you can make the new high, or at least have an actual opportunity. Because buying something after the big-ass rip is usually not the best idea. Usually not the best idea. Most of the time, it's going to be bad. And all you have to do is stop right now, pull back, or stop at $10, right? So if this is an opportunity, I want to see contraction again if I missed out on it. Because do you see what happened here, right? Why was this, why did it end up expanding at least, right? You don't know the direction technically with earnings. You didn't really have any great hints, in my opinion. What did you do? You expanded. Then you did what? You contracted. And then boom. So if it were me, I'd be waiting for a period of contraction. If I was investing in this, it probably already should have happened a long ass time ago, but I understand if you're seeing it now, but this is not necessarily the best, right? Even if this surged, which it can still see those little pullbacks on 30 minutes and 2 hours in here. You know that, right? But if this was to get up to here, you watch out because you might revisit down to here. Literally, you might. You got to be aware of when the timing of things is good. And if this is going to be good, hey, this is the chance for it to be. But if you see resistance come in here, you're just looking like pretty much the daily comes up, and then you could see that for like $2. I don't think that that's the case. I think you're more likely to see it continue and try to get tighter, maybe even see a breakout kind of moment. I'm kind of inclined to stay bullish on these type of things right now. I don't see this happening this summer. They'd have to see something really bad. So for the time being, if you're looking at the shorter time frames, I'm looking for a 30-minute, pretty much consolidation, 30-minute pullback in some way. If not, some kind of retest of that breakout. Okay, very, very nice here. Not filling the gap. Let's keep in consideration. We're going to mark it off today. We're going to mark it off. Let's not do a dotted line, though. Orange, kind of a warning that is there. Just remember that's there. That's potentially your next opportunity if we head to the upside right now and make a new high. Looking for higher low? Pretty much. Pretty much you're looking for a 30-minute higher low if you're talking about QBTS. Oh my God, no crypto comments. Crypto, we already gave you the comment on crypto. Where did we say crypto's going? 100K. 4 hour, the risky thing is, what did we say? Right? What did we say? If you curl up, you have 2 hour divergence here. You curl up the 4 hour. If you can curl up that 2 hour again, you're going to get to what? That's center, 100K. This is where rejection means more. But let's look at the structure we're seeing. As of right now, you're taking out the divergence. As of right now, you're taking out the divergence. The best case scenario here is Bitcoin pops the fuck off and it takes this out. And then you see a positive trend for a while. I don't think that's going to be the case, personally. I think you're going to build this up Potentially, I think you might see resistance here. Then you give it up to retest. Then you go up again. Then you start to roll. I think you roll, but you peek your head above this to show positivity. That would be a very bullish thing, actually, but that's where you experience your bad pullback. That's how I see it for now. The thing we said to be aware of is 4-hour divergence. That's why this line is here, 98.3K. If you go up to here and you reject, watch for that divergence. As of right now, you wiped it out. So Bitcoin did what it needed to do. That's great. Now, I'm not trading Bitcoin at all. I want you to be very clear here. I'm not trading Bitcoin at all. I do not hold Bitcoin right now. I do not do anything with crypto. I think there are risks out there all the way up into 2026. I don't care if I miss out. I'm doing what's best for me and the risk that I want to assume. And I think holding Bitcoin right now, I think that it will get to 129K. I think it'll get to 129K by at least probably like I will give myself some room and say by the end of 2026, I think we see 129K. I'm still not going to hold it because there's too much risk of something going wrong before then. And I think you're going to see a massive sell up there. I think you're going to see a pretty big sell up there. Yeah, you're still holding all these things. Yeah, you might even hit it sooner than I think. It really depends on what you do here. Really depends on what you do here. Let's take away some white lines, by the way. We'll keep this one. We actually could make this a zone too. Because you could easily come and retest that, right? Retest the lows in April. But if this weekly curls up, you're looking for that extension, right? So if we'll take a small measurement and do this. I wonder if this lines up. Let's do breakout again. Boom. Okay, maybe 121K. You do that over the next few months, and then you see Dump City, I think. I think you see Dump City. I think you dump, and then you see if you can extend the move with a higher low to get to 129. And then look at that, you're adding up to October, November. Maybe you leak this higher for a bit, go sideways, and then I think 2026, this thing might be done. We'll see. Got to see how the market shapes up over the next few weeks. I can tell you more. I don't think my timing's right with this. I think we have that period of consolidation in the summer, and then maybe run for a while into 2026. I think next sell in May and go away will be real. Look at that weekly chart for the SPY. You guys got anything? I still see nothing. No bragging, just came regarded, but it is scary. Come on, pull back. Let me see. More of 100 ARKB calls. 77 strike. Maybe millions on crypto, homie. That's dope, Joshua. No, I'm not saying you can't make money with it. I'm just saying the risk is too high for me personally. Right? We're all different when it comes to risk assessment, how much risk we want to assume. Some of you guys do 0 DTE. That's too much risk for me. I think the crypto market's an opportunity still. Like, I'm not saying it's topping out right now. I think it could. That's why I'm not going to do it. So it just shows the White House. Damn, what the hell's going on, man? Well, I'm going to use the restroom before it starts. I'll keep my headphones on. Give me a moment here. I'll go use the restroom, and I'll be right back. Oh, shoot. Let me get Bollinger Bands off this real quick. We don't need those. Bollinger Bands, just if you need help with those, it's just really what I like to use them for. It's just contraction, expansion. I was wondering why it was all quiet up there. The girls went to see Abuela. GameStop going up. Let's go, dude. Let's go. I hope it does well in that zone. I genuinely do. I really do. You guys know I'm not rooting against GME, even though I seriously thought about shorting it. Oh man, guys. I literally, right here, right, I remember this bar right here. I was like, gosh, I really want to. Because this one, I remember it because I was really almost going to do it here. But I didn't have that good confirming bar, and I was like, let me do very good practice with this if I'm going to. I really thought about shorting it for a few days. That being said, it's kind of opposite of what I want to happen, so I couldn't push myself to do it. There's always the chance that it just goes whoop, and that's the moment in these type of areas. So you could have hedged it very well there, though. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? But I didn't. Lucas is a GameStop guy. I am, man. I think it's great. I think it would be awesome to see. I think the problem's there. I think like 240. Oh, I wouldn't. I didn't. I wasn't even like paying attention to it when it happened. I literally, for some reason, I just like didn't pay it. Maybe it's because I never read into news or anything like that. And I didn't have a channel or anything. I just stare at my stocks when I trade. I don't really look at news at all. So I'm kind of glad I didn't see it because I could have got FOMO'd in, right? I could have got excited somehow because I was still pretty young. Wish I was selling back in the GME days. Instead, I was buying NFTs. You guys want to see? You guys want to see an NFT I made once? My wife made NFTs once back in the day. I don't know if I can find one. We were gonna make them holiday themed, and one of them was called Jacked Santa, and it's just Santa Claus who's just ripped as hell, lifting weights made out of bitcoins. My wife did not sell one of them, but she did make very cool animation towards it. So I'll try to find it. I don't think I have it on the. I don't think I have it on this computer. I wonder if we still have the website. Shoot, I'd have to go back and look. Do I have Jack? I think I deleted all the Jack Santas off of this anything that I had on here. So yeah, I'll find it. I'll try to get it for you guys to show you. Maybe we can put it on a t-shirt for Christmas. Jack Santa. He's trying. No, I do not. I do not want to show you the NFT. I won't show you it on the website. I do not want anyone purchasing an NFT. Not from my community. If my wife rips off some idiot somewhere else, that's fine. But she just did it for fun. She thought it was fun, and I showed her how to put it up there. So yeah, I'm gonna Trump coin you guys. Where's Richard? Oh, Richard's traveling. No, I'd rather make something tangible. That's what I don't like about NFTs. I don't like that there's nothing tangible at all. At least like Pokemon cards, there's like something to hold. I'd rather make Jack Santa tank tops for Christmas or something. I think that'd be funny. You guys want some Bitcoin Jack Santa tank tops? convince you fat asses sitting in front of your computer all day to go to the gym. Convince my skinny ass to go to the gym. I've lost like 30 pounds, man. I'd like to hold a Rip Santa. Oh God, Donald Lumps. We got switch hitter. Oh God. All straight men get self-conscious. Jack Santa socks. Ooh, that might be the move. That might be the move. I don't know. I like me some fun stocks. We see all the barriers removed. We actually could be winning. I did get a slight update here while I was using the restroom. I just pulled up in my phone. Let me read this off to you guys. UK and the United States. This is from Unusual Whales, by the way. This is not my information. This is Unusual Whales. From Reuters, UK and the United States have agreed terms for a tariff trade deal, with the British government agreeing to concessions on imports of American food and agricultural products in exchange for lower tariffs on British car exports, per Reuters. That is from Unusual Whales. We also see a small statement of the US to cut tariffs on UK made cars to 10%. US UK deal to cut beef tariffs to close to zero. Now these are all things that are being put out in the press. I don't think we see it in the price yet, which means I think everyone is waiting. Beef is very important. Beef is great. And cars for Europe is going to be very important, right? Especially for consumers here in the States. Cars from Europe, huge deal. Not only, John, not only imagine 100 countries, but imagine the 99th and 100th country going, oh shit, I wish we would have done it when the UK did. That's the reaction we're looking for here. Oh, look at that. I was like, I owe you a Coke. Why? Beef especially. Yeah, exactly. Think about it. Why is beef like just very common sense? I want the most common sense answer that you could give. Why the hell would beef be the better thing that I'm paying attention to than cars? Very common sense. Don't think too hard. Just stop doing no AI, no lottery stocks in the thing. Just like I'm a human being, beef cars. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Okay, good. I'm glad we're not going too complex. Sometimes we overthink things, is all I'm getting at with that. But food, because you can eat it. What do you need to live? Eat beef cars. Now, Noah, that's a company I want to see. You can buy this car for $500 and it works for a day and it is your lunch and dinner. Yes, actually, I think that's good too, John. It does give you a leg up, I think, now on China. I understand that China's people are in a rough place, but you have to understand it's a communist society as well. So they could be doing not better than us in the way that we think about it, but you have to shift your brain into them and think to them, are they in a better spot still? I think shifting your thinking is very important when it comes to the China US thing. Burger King breaks all the time. As a Texas rancher, I'm happy. Bernie's happy. Bernie, I got to get out to that ranch at some point. I talked about it. I actually mentioned you yesterday, weirdly enough, off stream. I said, you know what? We got to use Bernie. I got to go shoot with this guy. I told my wife when we were going and picking up some chicken. It's on? Why do I not have it yet? Is Wall Street Journal behind? I'm still sitting here with a thumb up my booty. Tesla back to 295 end of day. I think that makes sense, right? I think that makes sense. If you break out, we'll see if the retest is short, but if you break out, I'm thinking 310, right? Just utilize the information I have. Weekly expected moves are a great freaking thing, man. Gingers have souls. I know. I got, I like my godparent is a ginger. I like it, CB. Perfect level to be watching. And you are starting to get some confirmation above the center there, so very, very possible. Why do I feel like, oh yeah, who's the guy you have in Australia? Noah, or not Noah, but whoever's Australian in here, I can't remember. I think it was Crumpet. He's like a TikTok star that like eats eggs. I don't have TikTok. I don't watch TikTok. I don't, but I do watch Love Island Australia because that shit's crazy. And that dude is weird. Oh.
United States in affirming that reciprocity and fairness is an essential and vital principle of international trade. The deal includes billions of dollars of increased market access for American exports, especially in agriculture, dramatically increasing access for American beef, ethanol, and virtually all of the products produced by our great farmers. And our Secretary, as you know, of Agriculture is here. Brooke, thank you very much for being here.
It's a good day. Thank you, sir.
You'll let the farmers know. In addition, the UK will reduce or eliminate numerous non-tariff barriers that unfairly discriminated against American products, but this is now turning out, I think, really to be a great deal for both countries because it'll be really great for the UK also. So they're opening up the country. Their country is a little closed, and we appreciate that. They'll also be fast-tracking American goods through their customs process, so our exports go to a very, very quick form of approval, and there won't be any red tape. Things are going to move very quickly both ways. The final details are being written up in the coming weeks. We'll have it all very conclusive, but the actual deal is a very conclusive one. We think just about everything's been approved. So good for both countries, and we'll also receive new market access for American chemicals, machinery, and many other industrial products that weren't allowed. And they'll end up getting
Edge right now, as he talks, is to the bulls.
If they like them better,
see if that
we
flips.
make great products, they'll be buying those products, but they were not available in the UK. Furthermore, in a historic step, the deal includes plans that will bring the United Kingdom into the economic security alignment with the United States. That's the first of its kind. So we have a big economic security blanket, and that's very important. And we feel very, very comfortable with that because it's been a great ally, truly one of our great allies. I mean, a lot of people say our greatest ally. I don't want to insult people by saying
if we
that,
break
but
the
I can say it's
downside,
certainly one of
gap
our
fill is
greatest,
there.
and, right at the top, and they're the first one we're talking about. And by the way, we have many meetings planned today and tomorrow, and every country wants to be making deals. And we have a meeting, as you know, Scott will be going over to Switzerland on Saturday, and that'll be very, very interesting. We'll find out, but I think they want to make a deal very badly too. Both
Edge
countries
goes to the
have
Bears
agreed that
now
the
for a
economic
second.
Security is national security, and
They have
we'll
a
be
lot of
working
cushion.
together as allies to ensure that we have a strong industrial base, appropriate export controls, and protections for key technologies and industries like steel. Steel is a big factor. Both countries will become stronger with steel and things necessary for military. You know, we used to build ships and other things literally at a level that nobody's ever seen, and we haven't. We've eased up, and I would say that the UK certainly eased up, but now we're going to be uneasing both, and we work together. Once again, I want to thank Prime Minister Starmer. He's been terrific for his partnership in this matter. The special relationship and external bond, it's really an external and an internal bond between our two countries. Will soon
If you want to treat it simply, 5 minutes still positive.
We really do. We have a great relationship. I want to just say that the representatives of UK have been so professional, and it's been an honor doing business with all of them, and in particular the Prime Minister. And I'd like to introduce him now to say a few words. Mr. Prime Minister, please take it away.
Thank you, Mr. President, Donald. And this is a really fantastic, historic day in which we can announce this deal between our two great countries. And I think it's a real tribute to the history that we have of working so closely together. Can I pay tribute, Donald, to your negotiating team as well, particularly yes. Howard and Jameson, who've done an incredible job, a very professional job, and my team as well. Two negotiating teams have worked at pace now for a number of weeks to bring in this deal today. Really important deal. This is going to boost trade between and across our countries. It's going to not only protect jobs but create jobs, opening market access. And as you say, Donald, the timing couldn't be more apt, because not only was it 80 years ago today that victory came for Europe after and at the end of the Second World War, but of course on that day the UK and the US stood together as the closest of allies. And Donald, I think even down to the hour, because you may or may not know that it was about this time of day, exactly 80 years ago, that Winston Churchill announced victory in Europe, and that led to great celebrations across Europe, across America, but particularly in the United Kingdom. Literally people going out into the street, putting bunting up, going up to the palace. And so to be able to announce this great deal on the same day, 80 years forward, almost at the same hour, and as we were 80 years ago, with UK and the US standing side by side, I think is incredibly important and makes this truly historic. That close relationship has endured over those 80 years. As you know, Donald, when it comes to defence and security and intelligence sharing, of course, there are no two countries that are closer than our two countries. And now we take this into new and important territory by adding trade and the economy to the closeness of our relationship. It is built, as you say, on those notions of fairness and reciprocal arrangements. We've always had a fair and balanced arrangement between our countries. This builds on that, hugely important for sectors like car manufacturing and for steel and aluminium and so many others. And yes, we can finish ironing out some of the details, but there's a fantastic platform here, including, of course, on the tech side, where I think I'm right in saying we're the only two Western countries with trillion-dollar sectors when it comes to tech. And in the end, it comes down to, as you say, Donald, economic security is national security. On national security, we've been absolutely the closest of allies for so many years, keeping the peace through that close alliance, that friendship. And now we add to that this deal on trade and the economy. And I want to thank you for your leadership on that, Donald, and for the way in which your team have negotiated this. And I'm so pleased that we've got this deal, we've finalised it, and we've built an incredible platform for the future. So thank you so much. Donald, I'm now going to go and do a press conference. I think you have your press in with you. But on the details, I think if you've got Howard, we can deal with that through one of my team.
That's great. Well, Mr. Prime Minister, thank you very much. It's an honor. We're going to have a continued, maybe a better relationship than ever before. You know, I don't know if the media knows, but the U.S. and UK have been working for years to try and make a deal. And it never quite got there.
Yeah.
It did with this Prime Minister. So I want to just congratulate you.
Well, with this president, this Prime Minister, we've managed to achieve what many people have tried to achieve for many years.
That's right.
And I'm really pleased, and it feels completely historic and on a special 80-year anniversary as well. So, Donald, thank you so much. It's really good to have got this deal over the line. Tribute to both teams, tribute to our countries, and tribute to your leadership.
Thank you. Well, it really is a great thing. And you go do your press conference, and I'll see you soon. Maybe speak to you later. But thank you very much. And an incredible thing. I can't tell you that for so many years, even as I sat, everybody talked and talked and talked about a deal with. It just seemed like a natural deal, but it was not done. But now it was done with us. So I feel very proud to have been a part of it. Keir, thank you very much.
Thanks, Donald, and we'll speak again soon.
Very good. So long. Bye.
Sorry, the clapping. Hold on.
Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, give a little description of the deal pretty quick. And then the good side, the very nice side. We'll be speaking about it also, maybe, so you get a pretty equal. I think it's it's just been a deal that we thought very complicated. It became very simple.
If this ends up in the upward direction, I'm going to tell you something right now. Look for wherever 5-minute divergence shows up today at these critical levels and this critical level up here. Anything like this, right? Anything like this. He's still talking, obviously. Still Trump. Hold on. All right, here we go. Some questions, I think, or someone coming in.
Understanding of how big it is. It's a very large deal, very big deal. And Howard, go ahead.
So the UK is the 6th largest economy in the world and the 4th largest that we export to, right? So it's a huge market, a top 10 market. If you remember Liberation Day, they were at 10% because we have balanced trade with the UK, right? They say they have a surplus, but of course that counts gold bullion, so let's just call it balanced trade. So how do you open up a market in balanced trade? People think it's impossible. They've always thought it was impossible.
I like it, John. Positive thinking.
Until President Trump came on the scene and changed the way things work. So here's what we've got. We've opened up new market access, ethanol, beef, machinery, all the agricultural products. They've agreed to open their markets, and that will add $5 billion of opportunity to American exporters. So the question is, why would they do that now? Because they've never done it before, and we still have our 10% tariff on, which will produce $6 billion of revenue for the United States. So the idea was, how do they keep their jobs, protect their economy, and do the best for their people while opening the market for us? And the way is they studied it, their team was exceptional, and they tried to figure out the markets that they're importing from other people and try to send them over to America. So why were they always favoring others and not us? And what they've done is they've found the ways to do that so that we have new access, right? But the UK workers are protected, and that was the balance. So we did a deal with them in automobiles, and if you're not building here, we charge you a 25% tariff. But the president, and by the way, I want to make this clear, while Jameson and I worked hard, this was the president's deal, and people think, oh, that's not the way it works. If you got to sit next to him, I have the best deal maker to my left, and if you don't think that we take advantage of him calling the prime minister and getting that deal done, you don't understand who's the president of the United States. So he's the closer. He gets deals done that we could never get done because he understands business, he understands deals, and that's why we're here today. So he agreed they could send 100,000 cars into America and only pay a 10% tariff. And that protects their car industry. And remember, we do 16 million cars a year. So this is only like 0.6%. But for the UK auto people, this is tens of thousands of jobs that the president agreed that he would protect for them. So he made that deal, right? Then steel and aluminum. Right? Their steel business has been destroyed like everybody else has been destroyed by people dumping steel into their markets. And British Steel had announced it was closing down. So the British government, as part of this deal, nationalized British Steel, and they're going to match the kinds of models we do. They'll put tariffs on, they'll put quotas on. They want to do it with America.
I'm saying this dude's kissing ass. We knew this would happen, but Trump's going to be getting his butt kissed all the time. Just so you know, I like all these things. I like that the tariff stayed. Just so you know. Just want to put that out there. Here you go.
We've agreed to let Rolls-Royce engines and those kind of plane parts to come over tariff-free. And what you're going to hear today is there's going to be an announcement in the UK that they are buying $10 billion worth of Boeing planes later today. But I'm going to let the name of the airline announce it because that's theirs to do it. Part of this deal was always to do it together and to do it strong. And you can see the numbers on this board. Everything about this board works exceptionally well for the United States of America. It lays out the plan that you can work with us in autos. You can work with us with aero and commercial. You can work with us in pharmaceuticals if you have a supply chain that is secure and protected in national security. So we feel really good about the deal. You've heard the Prime Minister, he feels really good about the deal, right? And we started at 10% and we ended at 10%, and the market for America is better. And this is a perfect example of why Donald Trump produced Liberation Day. People don't understand he gets things done in a matter of time. This would have taken Jameson and I 3 years, maybe. And instead, we got it done in 45 days, certainly, because we work for Donald Trump.
That's
So
the miracle
Jameson, my
moment.
partner in
That's
all
the
this,
1% of the
Jameson, you'd like to talk about it,
1%.
And then we'll turn it over to the UK.
Sure, happy to do that. Everyone,
Anytime Trump talks, the market goes down. Anytime anyone else talks, it
have
tries to go
echo
up.
The President and the Prime Minister, when we talk about VE Day, this is something we've been waiting for decades, and there's no more appropriate day to do this. And when we step back and we look back a few weeks from now, or months from now, or years from now, we're going to look back at this day and better appreciate the significance, I think. And I'll just say as well, in terms of negotiating, I mean, the UK negotiators, you know, we've got one right here, did an incredible job, right? This is why you win wars, right? When you act like this, and the ambassador, he knows more about trade than a lot of us here, based on
VIX filled gap.
And I would say on
at
this deal, Mr. President,
23.58.
what we've shown is that it is time to change the way we do trade. People said we couldn't do a global tariff. We did a global tariff. They said no one would want to deal with us. People want to deal. They said no one give offers. You saw that stack of offers I showed you yesterday of all those countries. Said we wouldn't get deals, and here we are with a deal with the 6th largest economy. We've agreed to have fair and reciprocal trade, and we've done it in record time.
Thank you very much.
Sir.
Great job.
Not only record time, they fucking blew it out the
President,
water.
Thank you very much indeed in hosting us this morning. And thank you very much indeed also for that very typical 11th hour intervention by you with your phone call to the President.
Keep in mind that gap's still down there.
Demanding even more out of this deal than any of us expected. So thank you for that. The Prime Minister was delighted, obviously, to take that call late at night. But you took it to another level. And I think the point I would make is twofold. One is that if we're going to rebalance and rebuild international trade in a way that serves all our interests, then we're better doing that together than separately and apart, and that's what we're on a mission to do. But secondly, you've done what you said you would do. You said to the Prime Minister when he came and we visited in the Oval that you would do a good trade deal with the United Kingdom, that you would do it at pace, and that we would be first. And you have delivered that. You know, you've been true to your word. So thank you very much indeed for that. For us, it's not the end. It's it's the end just of the beginning. I mean, there is yet more we can do in reducing tariffs and trade barriers so as to open up our markets to each other even more than we're agreeing to do today. But it also provides us with the platform, the springboard, to do what I think will be even more valuable for both our countries in the future, and that's creating a technology partnership between the United States and the United Kingdom so that we can harness science and technology in order to create future industries and future jobs, and to do that together in the way we work so closely already in the national security and defense area. We can just take that to yet further areas of science, enterprise and endeavor. So we're looking forward to doing that in the coming months. You've launched us extremely well.
NVIDIA does
today.
need to see a squeeze here.
It just, in
Or
my
else
view,
it's
as the
it
Prime
needs to
Minister
squeeze to
said,
122.
just shows what two countries who trust each other, who are confident in each other and are familiar with each other can do, not just for ourselves, but for those, the rest of the world, who need to benefit from a bigger and better international trading system.
Thank you very much. It was beautifully stated. What a beautiful accent.
Shut up, Trump. Don't talk.
I'd like to have that accent. Thank you.
My mother would be proud.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
Stock bleeds. SPY bleeds 5 points.
Yes.
Can I ask, why Britain and why now? And you described this deal as a full and comprehensive deal. and yet we've just heard from Mr. Mantle it's the end of the beginning. Clearly, there's much more work still to do. With respect,
I want him to say, and if you like that, just at the end, if you like this, just wait till you see what's coming over the next couple of weeks. That's all he has to do is
I think
hint
that
at
it's a
something.
great deal for both parties. It's for us. We're opened up. I didn't know how closed it was. Quite closed, the market, as you know, the UK, and it opens up a tremendous market for us, and it works out very well, and a lot of assets. You see the chart, and those are tremendous assets. But we've been trying, and when you say why us, meaning your country, we've been trying for years, and they've been trying for years to make a deal, including when I was in the, first term. It would always be people talking, but they weren't getting it done. But for 25 years before that, they were trying always to make a deal, a very significant deal. I actually,
I'm not day
until I looked
trading.
at the numbers, I didn't realize this is a very conclusive deal, but we think we can grow it even from that. But this is a maxed out deal, not like you said it. You said it really incorrectly. This is a maxed out deal that we're going to make bigger, and we make it bigger through growth. But we have tremendous assets involved. I was surprised to see how big your country is in trade, actually. One of the biggest in technology and so many other things. It's agriculture. I really didn't know. It's depending on your definition, it's from 4 to 5 to 6. That's pretty big in the world. So I was very impressed by that. But we're going to take it to new levels. It's a
That's actually
very big
perfect
deal
prayer
right now.
format.
But
Not
I think
Navin,
it
you're
is
spot
gonna grow.
on.
Just of its own volition, it's going to grow. And over time, there'll be changes made. There'll be adjustments made because we're flexible. We'll see things that we can do even better. But it's very conclusive, and we think everyone's going to be happy. And the people of your country are going to be very impressed with the result. And they'll be able to buy from more people. They'll be able to price things differently. They'll be able to get some products that aren't available to them now that we make better than anybody in the world. And it's just something that it's a great thing that it came together. It's so nice because we have many countries want to make a deal, and many countries are very unhappy that we happen to choose this one, to be honest with you. But it's a long time, our oldest ally, or just about. I guess a couple of people claim that too, but let's put it right at the top. I think it's going to be something very special for UK and special for the United States.
Mr. President,
Yeah, please.
thank you, Mr. President. Reagan Reese with the Daily Caller. How close are you to more deals, and when do you expect the next to be announced?
Well, very close. We have numerous deals. I know Howard's going back as soon as this is finished.
This is what you want to
He's
hear.
got numerous, and Scott, who's right over here, who's fantastic, by the way. You were great on television this morning. I watched you. That was very good. He gave them a little lesson.
If you want your
in the
life to
world
get better,
and
you don't want this guy to
economics,
quit.
but,
He's not
Scott's
doing this
going
in the
to be
best way
going to,
possible, but
Switzerland.
this is something that can
meeting
actually
with
better
China,
your, like Bernie
and,
saying, your grandkids' lives.
They very much want to make a deal. We can all play games. Who made the first call? Who didn't make the? It doesn't matter. It only matters what happens in that room. But I will tell you that China very much wants to make a deal. We'll see how that works out. Every country throughout the last 40, 50 years has literally ripped off the United States on trade, on military, on protection, on all the different things. And we are now making fair deals. And in this case, it's great because we really weren't very much involved. You have the European Union, which is, I think...
Tell him, Donald.
Made the right decision years ago.
Lumps.
If you remember, I was opening up...
Tell him.
Turnberry the day that you were voting. And they asked me, would it happen or would it not happen? I said, no, I think they're going to go their own separate way. I think it's better for them. And they did. I think it's going to end up being a very smart decision. But a big part of that decision was always that you'd be able to make a deal with the United States. And they were unable to do that. But now they made it. And it's a tremendous, it's very important. That was always a big part of your decision on Brexit. And they were never able to make that deal. It was a tough one. And this one it's amazing with time. This one just went very smoothly, went quickly and smoothly, and a lot of common sense, as I like to say. It's tremendous common sense, but it's going to make your country much bigger in terms of trade, and it's going to make our country much bigger in terms of trade, too. Yes, sir. Okay, go ahead, behind you, and then we'll get you.
You mentioned meat.
You're with who?
The BBC.
Oh, good. Very nice. They treat me beautifully.
You mentioned meat and beef exports. The UK
Sorry if it's quiet. This question's very quiet.
American beef because of its own food standards. Are you calling on the UK to accept all American beef and chicken products?
Well, I think they'll take what they want. We have plenty of it. We have every type. We have every classification you could have. As you know, Bobby Kennedy is doing a tremendous job, and he's, I think, probably heading toward your system with no chemical, no this, no that. I mean, I think we're heading that way. It seems to be.
What are you doing after this interview, Trump? I'm going to AMC.
We have a lot of beef. We're a very big country, so
So
it'll be great. Yes, yes,
You want me to jump?
yes.
Let's talk about American beef really quickly, and it can't be understated. I'm Brooke Rollins, by the way, how important this deal is and what this means to American farmers and ranchers. Specific to the beef, this is going to exponentially increase our beef exports. And to be very clear, American beef is the safest, the best quality, and the crown jewel of American agriculture for the world. So I think a really important part of this deal isn't just the ethanol reducing of tariffs from 19 to 0, which for our row croppers is a huge deal, but also for beef. And as we move forward, I know our incredible trade team is looking at all of the meats, all of the produce, really all of our agriculture exports. And I don't know if there's an industry that has been treated more unfairly and has suffered more than our agriculture industry. So we look forward to, I'll be in the UK on Monday, talking to my counterpart over there for next week, and look forward to moving that out across the country. The president is an
I think
incredible
we can
defender
say
of
that we
America.
have the best in the world, best tractors, the best everything in the world, and they say that our agriculture is, second to none. You understand, and it'll be a great asset. People are going to be able to have options, choice, and they'll have more of it, and that usually means lower prices. How about we'll do you and then you? Go ahead.
Follow-up question for the client TV, Daniele Compatangelo, LA7 to 2000 Prime Media. So congratulations for the deal. We see a big revenues from the chart. But what's the rest of Europe? It's a victory day, but other European countries, it seems like
Well,
they're losing
we
the trade.
intend to make a deal with Europe. We have found that the European Union treated us extremely unfairly, very difficult, and hurt themselves in doing so. And they very much want to make a deal. We'll be dealing with them. We are dealing with them currently. So that'll cover pretty much the rest of it. But this was separate because of Brexit in particular. This was a separate deal. It always seems so natural. I mean, all the media would say that this seemed to be like, why did this happen 25 years? Why didn't it happen a long time ago? And it was always amazing to me. Somebody would say, hey, we got to make a deal. We have to make a deal. But this deal just fell into place. The Prime Minister did a fantastic job. His representatives are total professionals, and they got along well, and it just seemed to work. And I think one of the reasons it did is because we blew up the whole system. If we would have just been dealing with you separately or, country by country, we blew up the whole system. It was very fair to very unfair to the United States. And I think because of that, this worked out so nicely. And I'm honored that it was the first deal. Please.
Sir, you mentioned.
Well, why don't you go in the back? Yes.
Oh, thanks, sir. I'm with the London Times. I would say this is a great day for James Bond because now Aston Martins will be available to American buyers. Will it be even better by extending
Yeah, if you missed it, we're talking about a lot of man meat right now.
on films, and we'd like to know if there'd be relief on British.
Well, we're going to have a discussion on that separately. And as you know, we're putting tariffs on that particular film, he said, the movie makers. And we're going to be doing some tariffs to get them because a lot of them have left this country. They all live here. The money comes from here. Everything comes from here, but they make them in other countries. So we're going to do something to bring them back, maybe to a large extent. But James Bond has nothing to worry about that, I can tell you. James Bond. And Sean Connery was a friend of mine. Sean Connery was responsible for my getting zoning in Aberdeen. He said, let the bloody bloke build his golf courses. I was like 4 years into the process, and it was impossible in Aberdeen. And he just stood up one day and he said that. As soon as he said that, I got the approvals in about 2 minutes. So he was a great guy, Sean Connery, and great character.
Later in the year?
Say it?
Are you going to Scotland and to
Yeah, I will be, sure. It's great. We have a lot of investment over there. We have Turnberry, Aberdeen. We have, as you know, in Doonbeg in Ireland, right on the ocean. They're all on the ocean. I only have interest if they're on the ocean. And we have good investments over there. It's been beautiful. Yes?
Mr. President, if the talks go well this weekend between Secretary Bessent and Ambassador Greer with their Chinese counterparts, not preemptively, but if the talks go well, would you then consider lowering the tariff rate on China?
Well, it could be. I mean, we're going to see. Right now, you can't get any higher. It's at 145, so we know it's coming down. I think we're going to have a very good relationship. You know, I always got along very well with President Xi. That relationship was greatly disturbed by COVID when COVID came in, but we get along very well now. I mean, the relationship was hurt with a lot of people, a lot of countries when COVID came in. But I think we're going to have a very good relationship. I expect to have a very good relationship with.
You want the new
China,
daily
Scott.
high
I
here?
think, it's a very friendly meeting. They
Adds
look
a lot of
forward to,
positivity.
doing it in an elegant way. China, as you know, has a tremendous trade surplus with us, and we just can't have that. And but I think it's going to be very good for both countries. I would like to see China opened. You know, one of the big things here is, and nobody would know this, but the UK was largely closed. It was very much closed to trade, and now it's opened. And a lot of the financial reporters are very happy about that because so much. I listened to them. Well, I hope they get countries opened up, and then you compete on a fair basis. But you can't compete when you're not allowed to go there. China would be the number one example of that. You know, it's very closed. We almost had it last time before COVID. And that didn't work out. But we made a great deal with China. They had to buy $50 billion worth of our food products. And it was a great deal, doing very well for our farmers. And then when Biden came in, as usual, nothing happened. You know, he didn't enforce it. And it got less. And ultimately, you know, destroyed a great deal. That was a great deal. But no, I think that we're going to have a good weekend with China. I think they have a lot to gain. I do think they have far more to gain than we do in a sense. But we're going to have I think we're going to have a very, very good weekend.
Will you speak to Xi after the weekend talks?
I might, yeah, sure, depending on what Scott says. We Scott is doing certain countries and Howard's doing certain countries. I mean, I wish I had like 10 more of each. Then we could do them all at one time. But there will be a time, we'll do a number of them. And then there'll be a time, I think I can say this, Scott and Howard, where we're just going to say, because we understand the countries, we understand what they want, where we're just going to make the deal. In other words, we don't need the country involvement because we've already had it. And we'll say this particular country, which had big surpluses, let's say, we had therefore deficits, that this particular country is going to pay a 25% tariff or a 30% or a 50% or 10%. Or whatever it may be. I think we should explain it now, Howard. One of the things we did here that we'll rarely do is on cars, we took it from 25 to 10 on Rolls-Royce because Rolls-Royce is not going to be built here. I wouldn't even ask them to do that. You know, it's a very special car.
That's right, Chris.
And it's a very limited number, too. It's not, you know, one of the monster car companies that makes millions of cars. They make a very small number of cars that are super luxury, and that includes Bentley and Jaguar. So we have some very special cars. So in order to help that industry, and that's really, you know, handmade stuff, and they've been doing it for a long time in the same location. And I said, yeah, that would be good. Let's help them out with that one. But that's different than a car company that comes out and makes millions of cars, which they'll be doing in our country. They're going to build, we have many factories, car plants being built or going to be built very soon. I think we can say that we'll be close to $10 trillion of investment. I think we're actually at that number now if you add up some of the ones we haven't heard about yet. I mean, we have some going up right now. They have plants going up and they haven't even spoken to us. They're doing it because of the tariffs. And tariffs have always been used against us, and I never understood. I used to sit back. As you know, China paid hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs when I was president. But until then, China never paid anything.
With the new high, we do not want to go fill gap
on us from the standpoint of trade.
I don't think you want to fill gap now.
We are using tariffs now for our benefit, and we have now close to $10 trillion. Think of that, $10 trillion. If you look at the past administration, And we're talking about over, essentially 2 months, because we could say 3, but it took a little while to get the office in perfect shape, right? It took a little while to get things done. But once we started, when you think of that, close to $10 trillion of investment, you've had years where the United States wouldn't do that wouldn't do 1 trillion in a year, wouldn't do anywhere near 1 trillion. We did 10 trillion in 2 months. So it's amazing what's happening. We're getting calls from, and that has to do with chips, has to do with cars. We used to make chips. We had Intel, and we used to make chips. We had a monopoly on chips. Everything was made here. And now, over a period of years, because of presidents that didn't know what they were doing, they allowed that business to be stolen from us. Most of it moved to Taiwan. And you probably were in the same position.
Come on, buddy.
Because you had a lot
We're seeing
of
green right now,
chip-making
buddy.
capacity, but they moved it
Please
in.
stop.
And if we would have said,
Please
that's
stop.
fine, if you want to move it to Taiwan, that's good, but if you want to sell back into the United States, we're going to put a 50% or 100% tariff on, they would have never left. But we had people sitting here that didn't understand that, and it's too bad. But now they're coming back, because I'm saying it about 40 years too late, but they're coming back. As you know, we have the biggest chip makers in the world spending, in one case, 300 billion, in one case, 500 billion, same as
This is a psychological problem with Trump. Is he talks too long about the good things that makes you almost feel like something's off. That's why you want him to say a few good things and stop, right? You want it to be short. I can't hear the question. Hold on.
Yes, I think people like to say, yes, we're having a meeting to meet. Well, we're meeting, so what are we going to do? Talk about meeting again? I think it's going to be substantive. I think we can say that, right, Scott? Very substantive. Now, China wants to do something. And look, they have to at this point. Essentially,
that was too much. That's
they
a
made
reach by
$1 trillion
probably.
a year, and now they have absolutely, no business because of the tariffs. They have no business. And they want to have business, and we want them to have business. We want them to do well. We want them to do very well. So I think it's going to be very substantive.
Because business
Jesus
has slowed
Christ.
down, as you
Oh,
mentioned.
gosh.
In China.
But we're seeing as a result, the ports here in the U.S., the traffic has really slowed, and now
That's good.
thousands of dock workers and truck drivers are worried
That's
about
great.
their jobs.
Yeah, no, that means we lose less money. When I see that means we lose less money. Look, China was making over $1 trillion, 1.1 trillion, in my opinion. Different numbers from 500 billion to $1 trillion or $1.1 trillion. I think it was 1.1 trillion.
Yeah, I've been trying to mute when the press
And frankly, if we didn't do business, we would have been better off. Okay, you understand that. So when you say it slowed down, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. But we're going to make it so they can. I'd like to say they can do better, actually, in terms of the bottom line. We'd like to see China opened up so we can compete in China and give people something that they've never had, access to something. That'd be great for the world. It would be great for our businesses, and I think it would be great for friendship. I really expect a lot of people think I'm a militant guy. I'm really not. I think that trade can bring a greater friendship with China. It can be something good. But one of the things that I know Scott's going to be talking about very high on the list is open up and let our businesses go into China, because when you talk about a closed country, that's a really closed country. And I think it would be great if it was opened up, give people a lot of choice, and would create a lot of jobs, a lot of everything. So I think it would be a great thing for China. And that's going to be one of the things we'll be discussing, like we discussed with UK. Yeah, please.
So what does Britain have to do for you to drop the baseline 10% tariff that you'll maintain?
Well, I think that's set because that has to do with a lot of different things, including past. There are a lot of past things that we talk. This is very inclusive. We included everything. And that's pretty well said.
Inclusivity.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, Mr. President, the 10% baseline tariff remaining in place, is that a template for these future trade
Nope.
deals?
No.
You're going to keep it here?
No.
Just in case.
No, that's a low number.
It's still a very
they made a
good
good
thing.
deal.
Don't make it think it's
Many,
bad.
some will be much higher because
It
they
does
have
have some
massive
weakness. You want to see
trade
more strength in
surpluses
this, so
and,
we want a little
in many cases
retest.
they didn't treat us right. One thing with
This,
UK,
and don't cross this
they
down just
had,
yet.
Somewhat closed, not like a China as an example,
Nice.
but they always treated us with great respect. They treated us with great respect. The template of 10 is probably the lowest end, and therefore they made that deal. And but they, you know, we've had just a very special relationship with them. Like, I won't do that deal with cars. I mean, unless somebody shows me that there's another kind of a car that's comparable to a Rolls Royce, then there aren't too many. This is a good commercial for Rolls Royce, but they're going to order a lot of cars.
Mr. President, I wonder whether you'd like to buy.
I mean, well, the last time this happened,
I would be happy to suggest a discount, obviously a very modest discount. We have to protect our profit margin.
I've had many of them, actually. You know, the last time that happened.
All right, once they actually talk about something substantial, I'll put it back on. I don't want to make everyone's ears bleed. Daily Wire. Is that still a company?
You want to handle that?
Yeah, that was not part of the conversation. Our conversation was an economic conversation from start to finish, closed by the president yesterday. This was a business deal, open their markets, and also protect their workers, grow our markets, and help our workers.
This was about business religion.
Bringing up DEI right now is just
semi-religion,
so
but not nearly as
stupid.
important. I don't want to get myself.
Will you be asking China to help you close, the gap between Ukraine and Russia?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's a natural thing to ask.
What do you expect?
Sure. I don't know. I think we're making good progress. The fighting is a little bit different than it was. I think if we weren't involved, Russia would be, going at it to maybe get the whole thing. And without our involvement, they'd be able to get it, because we supplied a lot of different things, foolishly. But we've been sort of paid back by doing the rare earth deal that I talked about before. I think that I think that we will be very much involved in trying to get that bloodbath. It's a bloodbath. It's a horrible situation. 5,000. It's really more than that. But it's 5,000 soldiers on average a week, mostly soldiers, are being killed. Young, beautiful people. I mean, they're being killed. I see the satellite pictures coming back, body parts lying all over fields, heads and arms.
Well, news is built to do what? It's to show you as much negativity as possible, right?
Talking constantly back and forth. He's a real professional who's got a great relationship with both countries. And I think we have a good chance. And likewise, we're trying to work on Iran to get that solved without having to get into any bombing, as we say, big bombing. I don't want to do that. I want them to work it. I want them to be very successful.
Oh, Jesus. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. My bad.
I mean, they have so many things that are so good for them. It's going to be so good for the country. And that was sort of easy. It wasn't, we had non-market, I call it non-market or non-monetary trade barriers. And we had quite a few of them, not nearly as bad as some countries. Some countries have, they have virtually no tariff, but the rest of it is so brutal you can't do business with them, right? So it's a very important question, actually. No, I think the overall deal just worked out very well from their standpoint. They were willing to give that in order to get other things. And you might want to speak to that, Mr. Ambassador.
And your yield is kind of booming.
The point about the deal is that we will continue reducing tariffs and non-tariff barriers. This is a continuing picture. It's a movie. It's not a still picture here.
It's a movie. It's a movie. Buy it. Buy it.
We're both committed to freeing up trade between our countries. We're both committed to freeing up investment between our countries. And the point about this deal is that it provides a very good template and a very good launch pad for what we can continue to do and build on in the future. And that's what we're both determined to do.
Many of the we'll keep it confidential. How about just one more little thing, right? It got the deal closed, and it was handled very well from the other side too. But many of these things that we're talking about, we've been talking about this for 25 years. It's hard to explain.
I am making my first
if
sale.
you weren't sitting behind this beautiful Resolute desk,
Still holding
you just
on
wouldn't get
to
it. I have been hearing
half
about
of the contracts.
making a deal with UK for
Looking
25
for
years.
570.
And especially around the time of Brexit. They wanted to make a deal, so they came out of Brexit and they make a deal, and how natural. And it just couldn't be done. It couldn't be done. Good people. And this is a bigger deal. This is a much bigger, better, stronger deal for both of us than we ever even contemplated before. It's a big deal.
Virtually everyone said that it would end in failure, it would end in tears.
Checking on
and it's
Apple while you
ended in
listen.
Exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
But, Mr. President, can I say that that is due to
Good.
Secretary Lutnick and Ambassador
Apple
Greer,
may
who've been
run all the way into
absolutely
OpEx.
fantastic. But
Right.
yesterday I received a call, a very diplomatic call that just edged things over the line, and that was from your new ambassador in the United Kingdom.
Who is terrific. man.
Warren Stevens, he's here.
Where is Warren?
You will
Hello,
see
Warren.
pullbacks.
He's flying to London.
You will see pullbacks, most likely by end of day or early tomorrow morning if you're lucky. And then ultimately, if you miss out on the entire move to May 16th, if this all were to take place, nothing goes wrong. If this doesn't go wrong, your opportunity will be below where you're at right now, most likely. 16th, maybe even 16th up here. We'll see. If it goes to here, we're looking at this. But either way, after the 16th, you start to look for the roll. Come down, sell in May and go away, and then you turn back up. That's what it looks like right now. We have to see behavior then, but we'll be with you around those times, okay?
The Federal Reserve Chairman,
Shit.
Reserve Chairman, Mr. President, says
Oh,
that,
Federal Reserve.
we would have to call him for a meeting.
Options expiration.
I could call him for a
Noah.
meeting, but it's like talking to a wall. He should be.
About not cutting. The Bank of England cut today.
Well, the Bank of England cut, China cut, everybody's cutting but him. It's I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's a shame. I call him too
Not the
late.
best time, but
Too
you're
late
squeezing.
Powell, that's his nickname, and it's
We're
a shame.
potentially going to
It's
squeeze,
ridiculous.
so still looking
meeting.
here, but
He,
paying attention if we hold this.
He's always too late.
We did leave behind the gap.
But in this case, it's
So
not
this
going
is
to matter
always a
that much
possibility.
because our country is so strong.
Or
We're so powerful in terms of economic strength
Right.
and what we've done. And I'll tell you what, if we didn't have our first term, you wouldn't be. We created things in the
Oh, they're
first
gonna
term.
milk
We cut more
this, dude.
regulations than any
They're gonna
president
milk
in
this
history.
thing.
We cut the taxes more than anybody in history. And a very big
I don't
factor
think this rollover
is
is
going to
that
be the
bad.
tax
You
bill
could
that we
reach
have right
down
now. The one big
further,
beautiful bill, as we
but I
call
don't
it,
think so.
which is all
I think we're just
encompassing, the
going.
biggest tax cuts ever in history, bigger than even the first time, and the incentives, even great for the UK because it'll make us so strong that we're going to be doing more business with you. It's a very important element for taxes, for every aspect, regulation cuts. That bill
Flop
is,
it.
I believe it's the biggest bill of its kind ever in the history of this country. And Speaker Johnson and Leader Thune have done an incredible job. I mean, I'll let you know, we have to get a vote, but we have a lot of support for that bill. And if that happens on top of all of these trade deals that we're doing,
Aussie G.
this country will hit a point that you better go out and buy stock now.
You
Let me
are
tell you,
getting
this-
up towards
this
your
country
take profit zone here,
will be
guys.
like a
You're pretty
rocket
much in
ship
it.
that goes straight up. This is going to
I
be
already took
numbers that
half.
nobody's ever seen before. That's a very important
not trying
element
to
of
make
all
a
of this.
million.
If we get that, if you don't, and
the
the
rest I'm-
Democrats are fighting it only because they want to fight. They
Maybe
have
looking
Trump
for gap
derangement
fill.
syndrome. You know,
Looking
with
for
somebody
the
else they wouldn't
actual
fight.
exit.
If you had a normal person, if you had some stiff
In case
sitting
I can
behind
hold
you,
this
that'd be
all the
fine.
way into the 16th.
But they have Trump derangement syndrome. Senator Schumer's become a Palestinian.
Oh, God, we're not talking about.
Welcome. I don't know when they're going to give him the ceremony, whatever the ceremony may be. But it's terrible what's happened to the Democrats. So, very, very important element of
Beautiful.
everything, of what we're doing.
Beautiful.
Unrelated to today, but related in the sense
Beauty.
that we'll do, if that passes, we'll do even more business with the UK. We'll have so much. It's the biggest tax cut in history. It's going to make our country zoom. It's going to be incentive, as you know, with the deduction for basically for work. You build, you plant, etc. Your deduction. It's going to be the biggest. It's the biggest bill of its kind ever passed. Maybe the biggest bill ever passed. That's why we call it the one big beautiful bill.
Hold on. Okay, they're getting into other things. So I'm gonna cut it there. I'm gonna cut it there. We're not talking about trade deal at all. The last 3 questions, so I'm gonna cut it right there. We are heading up directly into that take profit. Hopefully you are loving it right now. Very, very good. Everything here is good. You even wiped out the 5-minute divergence, which means you most likely have another push left in this. It will depend when this is able to stop. The level I'm looking for is still 570. If I can catch that now, I still might only sell 50% of what I'm still holding and look for the 30-minute divergence at high, or I'm sorry, the 5-minute possible divergence form later. Just in case there is a Friday sell, right? But I can hold through all of that and be pretty comfortable, right? I'm looking for 581, right, for now. I'm looking for 580 by next Friday. So I want to try to position myself better for this trade if it gives it to me, right? Like a day trader would. If I start to see this, or like up in here, we start to see, we see something like this really fast, and we get up to these type of areas, even on Monday, and I see this, I'm going to look for the opportunity for a rip into that Friday. I'll be looking over here. We'll see. For the time being, your 5-minute looks pretty freaking fantastic. If you're not in it, don't FOMO. Use your skills. Wait for pullbacks. This is exactly where we should see the first potential pullback. And then we see if we can continue the move, right? We do not want to go fill that gap right now. I don't believe you do. If you fill that gap, I think you want it on a bigger time basis, meaning from over here, maybe. If you're lucky, you'll get this, and you'll see probably some pretty good things going into Friday. I think there will be a Friday sell that gives a bullish opportunity. Only leaning towards bullish opportunities, though. Very clear about that. Very, very clear about that. Man, hopefully if this rips to 576, I have the rule, right? My rule is this is a 1% moment. I will sell or this is a 5% moment. I apologize. If this were to happen, you know, especially in this first push, time decay, everything like that, if that happens that quickly, this is going to be great money. So I will be out of the position at 576 if we hit that in one push right here. I will most likely be debating whether or not I want to get out on this type of push because my calls can last till at least till we see like 480 or something like that. Shorting this is like punching a gorilla. You'll get clapped. How you feel about the Qs? Same type of deal. Qs, once again, where are they pointing towards? I think the Qs are set up to more so get to 514, get to at least 500. I like 500 a lot. Once you get up to this area, the reason that I'm talking about this, we can explain from a resistance standpoint as well. When you come up to 514, if you're able to get there very quickly by, say, next Friday, right? This is going to have a lot of business in it first, right? But if we're able to get there, you're running your head into the absolute breakdown area that got retested and rejected, okay? So this area right here, there's this little box you could probably draw up right here with these resistances and the breakdown area. And that's where I'd seriously be looking for something. Now, even in this environment, it might look juicy and it probably would be a good decision if you have the right setup to short here. Not now, but here. The reason for that is because you are expecting a retrace here for sure. Mainly looking for the retrace of this entire move if we make it. Come back down, take care of that test of 550, and then we see if we turn around. If we do, we're going to make a new high here, and you might go test 540. You might go test that, right? We'll see if everything remains good, because at this time right here, there is still the vulnerability of going down and getting that roll to fill the gaps, right? This moment here that I believe is coming, we'll see if it comes. This moment right here, though, dictates whether or not you are going to see further downside during the summer and potentially even come down to here. I would say more leaning towards filling of gaps. But also, it tells you if you're going to get that bull run started now. Bull run started now. Because right now you're kind of thank God that we were paying attention to the first scenario, right? The first scenario we mentioned, 2-hour pullback there. Thank your skills, thank yourself, right? Thank weekly and monthly expected moves, because they really helped us out. Fantastic look so far. We'll see if that can continue. It is continuing. You can see that here for the Qs. So just be aware of these type of things. Qs also on the 5-minute. Just so you are aware, they are past the decision-making area. You have no divergence. This would mean that taking profit anywhere above here is an unexpected thing you experience, so this money should be good. If you are going to get a pullback, that most likely will continue. With what you are seeing here and here, it is very likely to continue the trend for at least one more move. Take into consideration time decay, take into consideration if some kind of flop happens, right? If your trade starts to go wrong, but this is just great. Shorting is more difficult. So if you're good at shorting, hats off to you. Shorting is always going to be more difficult. You are in a historically bullish market most of the time. So if you are good at shorting, my hat's off to you. I really resist doing it in times like right now. And I really resist doing it even towards the Q's higher levels, up towards 515, 514. Right? We have monthly expected moves, so we know exactly where the risk is for the month. And if you run up into options expiration, oh, just wait till they start to reprice stuff. Wait till the VIX options start to get repriced. That's a sketchy time, those last 2 weeks of May. All-time highs, this type of move makes the pathway. You don't know for sure. Anyone that is calling all-time highs, they are more correct. Okay, if someone is saying all-time highs versus someone saying 400 for the SPY, they are right. If someone is saying 600 for the SPY or whatever, if they're saying a new all-time high, and then the opposite person is saying 4,000, with the look you have, with the information you have right now, and with the price action you have right now, it is much more likely to go make an all-time high than to go all the way back down and break that level that we potentially just priced in all of the bad news. Now, we would like to see a daily what to prove it. Once you make these moves into positive territory, what do you want to see continuation? You want to see a higher low. You don't necessarily want to go negative. That's risky. Going negative is this. Going positive or seeing the higher low is this. Okay? I'm just trying to talk. I know I'm talking slow, like we're talking to freaking brain dead people. You guys are smart. You get it. You get it. We are now looking for the 5-minute, another higher low. We are now looking for another higher low. We do not chase at this point. We look for retests. We look for retests of breakout areas. We look for retests of highs. This wick might be your friend. It might be telling you that 565.39 is a thing. All right? Cool. Looks good. We do not chase. I sold into this upward move, if that tells you anything. Holy crap, I'm gonna sell this right now. What the frick? No, maybe not. Maybe yes, maybe no. Why is that so valuable? I don't care. See if someone reaches up there. Holy crap, what the hell? I know I took out the money, but fucking A. We'll see if I can get filled today for that. I am down with that. That's enough to make me stop. That's enough. Okay. You know what? Screw it. I sold half. I saw someone say they're holding it. I'll hold it with you. All right? I'll hold it with you. I'll hold it with you for the second push. But my God, whoever just someone just made the decision to whatever that strike price, that 571. Someone decided to load the boat on that, whatever option I chose, right? 571. They decided to load the boat on that right here. And it made my option go nuts. I tried to sell it to him real quick. But I had so many contracts that it couldn't get filled. So I'm going to wait till we get there. Then it'll definitely get filled. But some dude pumped 571 or maybe 572, but 571 calls right at the top. Poor guy. I'll hold the bag on the... I already sold half, so my risk is 0 at this point. My risk is opportunity cost. If I would letting it run or selling it, I guess it would be... Actually, at this point, it would be risking the profit. Yeah. Don't think what could have been. Oh, I'm fine with... I could still make, like, this is how big it is. I could still make 125% right now. It flashed to 300%. It flashed to 300%. And that's why I was like, oh shit, okay, well, 300. I'm not a guy that tries to make the 500, the 700, the 800 percenters. I try to make my money and run a lot of the time. So when it flashed from 50% to 300% for a... and it's still holding high. Pretty much that means I mean, that's probably not even in my top 10 trades, but it's pretty good. Go in and out of the elevator. Well, I think we have another sequence move for sure. I mean, but you see 570, right? 570, that's your call wall. If you break 570 though, right? If we can consolidate enough, remain higher, tap into here, curl up. Oh, you break 570. I think you just look for that run to like 574, 573, 3 points there. How many contracts did I start out for? 40. 40 contracts, way out the money at the time of buying. Reaccumulated here, bought in here and here. It lost value too because the repricing of options yesterday. So once that dip came down, they got repriced really cheap. And so I bought the calls towards the low. I just said, you know, what's the levels? I mean, for the most part, I was just looking anywhere in here. I was just going to buy calls. I had very much confidence in it. So I had a ton of contracts. That's why you see me unloading them. What sign do I look for to cut the trade? The money was good enough. You'll hear this from me all the time. I like to think about taking profit for multiple reasons. One of those reasons is I like the amount of money. I've learned that my comfortability with taking profit, I don't like to hold things to make the 1000%. I don't think it's a good mentality for me over time. I've done it before, and it causes me to try to get those more often. If I see anything over 200%, I'm usually grabbing it and done. But a lot of, like, you'll hear me say in the course, 100%. I like 50% to like 150%. So when I see 300, that's double what I like to see. So you can see how that makes it. Now, there are other reasons. This is one. This obviously being able to get a 5-minute pullback. No, not a month out. I targeted, I think yesterday I said the 2 weeks. I targeted actually straight on the 16th. I went 2 Fridays out, and that was actually a mistake on my part. I'm benefiting from it actually right now, from the mistake. I meant to do the next Friday past that. I think that's why it ended up being so cheap for me too. I was like, this is cheaper than I expected. I didn't buy the extra time, and that's why I'm down to reposition as well going into the 16th. You've heard me say that a few times. Yeah. So I went big. I went decent size in this one too. I mean, that's still decent size for me. It's called character. Isn't it? Like, hey, and I like to say this when I talk about having a win. I was losing first. I was losing first. I decided to have some conviction, open up my risk, and hold through any downward turbulence during FOMC. I was losing first, okay? I don't want you to think like, oh, I bought it exactly here and it went like this. No, I grabbed it somewhere in here and, you know, accumulated down in here. So it got really, really bad at first, actually. It got really bad at first. Then I added to the position, and that's why I always try to take a smaller starter position. I like to mention that. I don't want you guys to think that, you know, what's his name says, Magic Box Man, you will stay, right? Magic Globe Man. I'm like, no, it's not always a smooth sailing. I know exactly what's going to happen. That is rarely the case. It's reactionary. Yeah, there it is, Donald. My actually longer term play is Apple for May 16th. So this is the play I did right. I took end of month for Apple. So you can tell I've been putting some money out there. I actually took end of the month for Apple to hit a monthly expected move. I'm taking Apple as a play to attempt to tag 217 with the pricing of the 212 with the gap fill call. So I'm reaching out there because I think we're going to squeeze. So that's to make the position not have to be terribly large. It's to decrease the price by reaching out of the money. But Apple is one that I'm not even really looking at. I'm very confident with it. If it would roll from right here, that's when I would have to get out. Anything up from here is just fantastic. Yeah, it looks really, really good. Everything looks great. So I actually do. It's 11 o'clock. The girls just got home. We're at take profit. You're at your first point where a decision can be made, right? I don't know if hedging in this decision-making area is the best thing with what you just got the stock market to do. It is very likely to continue to run. I would more be focusing on my plan if it goes seriously wrong. And I would be looking at the take profit, leave runners type of attitude here, the exact thing that I just did. Okay? I don't see the hedge being a beneficial thing. It might be, yeah, and you see the shorts are starting to go up in this area. So this is going to be, you're starting to see this. So this is most likely going to continue. I think you will get a 30-minute pullback maybe early tomorrow or end of day today. So we will be live later today. Okay? I will go live later today here on YouTube. I'm colorblind, really enjoying these graphs. Red and green are the damn same. I'm so sorry about that. Maybe you like my other graphs better. You can see what I'm looking at over here. Oh, god dang it, I did the thing again. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, there we go. Maybe these are a little bit better. Is that too green? Is that like yellow enough? Is that good enough? Volatility, I don't know why I'm on a 1 minute, but volatility here, just be aware. You do have that potential for rejection here. You still have that looming 2 hour. Okay, this is the only thing that ruins all of this, right? Is this starts to rip above these kinds of levels. We can go fill that gap real quick if that's unfinished business, but for the time being, this is the only risky thing I'm seeing. The dollar is snapping up. What did I say? When you get the news, you're going to see the dollar react, right? When you get news that actually matters and gives some certainty in some way, or let's say this, lessens the uncertainty, right? Making you less confused, you're going to see the dollar react. The dollar makes the new high. There you go. Now, the dollar is still at risk of turning down one more time, just so you're aware. So we don't, they're saying China's just going to go smooth, smooth, smooth. Of course, they're going to say that. Let's just make sure that we're paying attention to what's best for our money. Okay? For the SPY, I'd be looking for continuation. I'd be looking for any kind of 5-minute pullback that crosses up if I was some kind of degen. And I'd be looking at the 570 to be kind of a magnet. 570 is that call wall. That's why it's a magnet. Notice we just bursted right up to where? Well, the high of this move. We'll say the high of the move right now, 569.69. Perfect numbers. We love those sixes. We love those nines. But yeah, 570 going to be a critical level. If you break through 570, it's kind of all bets are off, and maybe we're looking at 576, honestly. It depends on this. Like, do we break it now and then lose it, and then we see a run? Do we break it now, lose it, see the lower high, and pull back into end of day, start to curl back up? There's a lot that can happen. So let's just focus on what best decisions you can make in this area based on your trades. If you're holding on to things, make a plan for if it goes wrong. I still would say this is a serious decision-making area. And I already made the decision to cut my contracts in half, right? So cutting the contracts in half, leaving it there. Apple, that trade is more into the 16th or even to the end of the month if I would like to. So that one's more of something I can wiggle back and forth. But SPY calls for now, as I only have the 16th of next week for 571. I need to make sure to be tactical with that if I can catch a pullback next week. So thank you guys so much for being here today. Thank you guys for liking, subscribing. Good upward movement. Great tag of the 5-day here too. We kind of slept on that. Great tag of the 5-day. Maybe that updated. I think that updated because that wasn't there originally, I don't believe. But fantastic stuff. Very highly likely to continue. If you're looking for the retest, you're looking for this wick right here, 565.40 if you're lucky. If you're really lucky, you could see a dip all the way down into 563.10. That would be pretty volatile, so I'm not leaning towards that. As volatility has dropped off, you're less likely to see big swings, so you take whatever dip they can give you. That's kind of how it goes here. So thank you guys for being here today. I got to take off. I'll see you guys later, and peace out.